right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday night live stream. For over the course of the next 2 hours, I'll be answering your guys' questions and talking all things fantasy football related. Of course, that was actually quite the exciting game to an extent. Obviously, many of us didn't expect the Houston Texans to pack a punch like they did, but we're glad to see it. Obviously, we probably would have wanted more points from Dameon Pierce and all of our prospects. If he had that first drive touchdown, or he didn't come down to the 1 yard line, but it would have been great. But either way, we're talking all things fantasy football. If you guys have any questions, be sure to go ahead and type it in the chat. Of course, if in fact you have a specific question and it's not, just half PPR regular, be sure to tell me what your scoring format is. If it's a full PPR, standard league, if you have like additional extra, plus 4 points for a 40-yard touchdown, something like that, you got to let me know, because certainly, did my stream just die? How is that a thing? I just started. What? It just started. No way. All right. We're getting a little bit of lag. Okay. It should be better now. All right. We should be fine. Anyway, that's the whole thing. Be sure to add the scoring format so that when I'm answering the question, I can be as accurate as I possibly can be. But either way, that's it. We're here. We're talking fantasy football. Glad that you guys could join us after that interesting game. And let's get into this, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and pop the screen on chat, or pop the chat onto the screen. I'm already thrown off because I swear the internet went out for a couple seconds there, but it seems like we're good to go. So I'm happy to hear it. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let me scroll back to the top here, because I know there were a couple questions that were sent, or just messages typed in. Round of applause for Dameon Pierce. Absolutely. 139 rushing yards. What a performance. I mean, again, the Philadelphia Eagles this year haven't been the best team in terms of stopping the run, and they weren't expected to be the best team overall. But, Dameon Pierce, regardless, when all else around him really isn't up to the task. I mean, obviously, Philip Dorsett played well, and we had a couple guys catch touchdowns. But when you think about the level of production they should typically be at, that Houston Texans team is not built for winning games in the National Football League. Yet, hey, Dameon Pierce gets the job done regardless. Let's see here. Would you trade Ramondre, DJ Moore, Everett for Jamal, and Jamal for, what is this? Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Andrews, and Patterson? Again, questions like these, I can answer it within a vacuum, but unless I have more context regarding your team and what else you have, it's really hard to tell. Because if you're just trading Ramondre for Jamal, obviously Ramondre is the better prospect. I also think that Amon-Ra St. Brown's better than DJ Moore. I think Mark Andrews is better than Everett, right? So, actually, no, never mind. Jamal is also in that trade. Wow. So here's the thing. If you're able to trade away Ramondre Stevenson and Jamal Williams, you better have stacked running backs. Otherwise, this is not a deal that I can make. You better have at least 3 more running backs on roster that are consistent enough to where you can go up for the rest of the season, even if one of them go down with an injury, and still be able to have, a pretty solidified RB1 and 2 option that are going to get you consistently 10 plus points every single week. Otherwise, it's not a deal that I'm looking at. Let's see here. Also forgot to mention I'm 7-1. What is this question for? Noah, maybe you mentioned something up there, but it got cut off pretty much because I can't scroll on this chat any longer. Is Jonathan Taylor playing? Question mark. All right. Bald God. Hey, welcome, Bald God. Interesting name. First and foremost, for those of you who have just clicked in, thank you for joining us. The number one thing that I wanted to mention and obviously convey to you guys was that there's a very good chance that Jonathan Taylor does not play this week. And if in fact you are currently a Jonathan Taylor manager, you need to already have Deion Jackson on roster. For those of you who watched my NFL trade deadline reaction / implication video, you will have already been, told by me, hey, go and pick up Deion Jackson, because the absence of Nyheim Hines has nothing to do with Zach Moss going forward. It is Deion Jackson all the way. So right now, I think in just the last 24 hours, he's gone up 15% in terms of rostership on Yahoo. I know I've monitored that. He went from 28% on Wednesday to 43% today. Again, if you haven't already, and there's still a possibility of picking him up, you should be doing so. What is this, Mostert or Stevenson? Again, Ray, I posted a running back rankings video earlier this week. I have Stevenson significantly higher than Mostert going into this week and rest of the season. Let's see here. I traded Kittle, Mixon, and Myers for Evans and Cooks. Is this Brandon Cooks or is this Dalvin Cook? That's the biggest question, because if it's Cooks, plural, then this is a bad trade, because Cooks, I don't know what his deal is, but I don't think he's playing for any Texans anytime soon. All right, let me go ahead. There were a couple donations sent in. I appreciate that. We'll get there to those questions in a moment. If you do send in a donation, please be sure to go ahead and include your scoring format so that I don't have to go searching for any other context after the fact. But I just want to answer a couple more questions via the chat before we hop into those kind of stuff. Let's see here. Jamal Williams or Chris Godwin at the flex full PPR. Considering there is a very high likelihood of Jamal Williams being the lead back, getting all the goal line work, and DeAndre Swift still being limited, I'm probably leaning in the direction of Jamal Williams because I know that there's the guarantee that he'll probably fall into the end zone, especially when we consider how bad Green Bay has been in terms of stopping the run. A lot of running backs have found a lot of success against them. And I don't think the Detroit Lions are going to be one of these teams that just kind of falls apart in that capacity. They're a run-first team, and they want to go ahead and put the pedal to the metal. So I'd probably go Jamal there. I think it's just a safer option overall in comparison. Just me or AJ Brown always open? LOL. Yeah, I mean, listen, they scheme up an offense that is perfect for him. Now, when he's running these crossing routes, again, the RPO action, his ability to get behind the linebackers and always find himself some success, it's beautiful. We love to see it. Very easily could have had himself a 60-yard touchdown earlier if that final safety, didn't shoelace tackle him, but either way. Myers, Lazard, or Dion if JT is out, and Kyler or Fields. All right, Ibrahim, I posted a quarterback rankings video. Go check that out, and it'll kind of answer your quarterback question, give you a little bit of context as to why I pick one over the other. As for your other question, if you're playing in a half PPR scoring format, and we're playing up against, I think the safest of the three options is probably playing Myers. Yeah, Myers is probably the safest option out of the three. I think Deion Jackson is great, but the issue is there's not a guarantee for as many targets as he once saw with Matt Ryan under center, which kind of jeopardizes a little bit of his total upside in comparison. Pacheco or Rachaad White. I recently redid my rankings for Patreon earlier today. I believe I have Pacheco at 37 and Rachaad White's at like 34, 35 in a half PPR. So Pacheco's behind him, but Pacheco's overall value this week is 100% predicated on the idea that the Kansas City Chiefs blow them out outright. If they're able to do so, mount a very early lead, then run the ball for the entirety of the second half, great. We know that Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill did not practice today, which may lead to that potentially being the case, where it may be a one-sided affair, but we don't know for certain as to what is going to happen on Sunday, who's going to be healthy and available. Would you start Fields or Burrow? Again, I know you guys maybe hadn't checked out the channel prior to this live stream. I do have a video up right now in regards to quarterback rankings and tight end rankings for this week. Go check that out. It's live on the channel. I've pretty much demonstrated the visual rankings right away. So as soon as you click it, you'll know the answer to your question. I just need that click. I need you to go over there. I don't even care about the view. I just need you to click the like button on that video and then come on back. That'd be greatly appreciated. Traded Darrell Henderson and Gerald Everett for Zeke. W trade Everett. At this point, I don't want anything to do with Henderson. That backfield's a little bit of a mess right now. The offensive line does not help them run the ball. As for Zeke, everything that I'm reading, everything that I'm hearing points in the direction that Zeke is probably going to come back and take the starting spot. So I'm perfectly fine with that trade. I don't have a problem with that. Let's see here. Hurts, Etienne, Mixon, Pierce, Walker, Kupp, Andrews, Gallup, Rachaad White, and Tony. What moves could I make? What moves could you make? You can make a lot of moves. What moves do you need to make? Not many, to be honest. Your running backs are stacked. You have 4 stud running backs, a stud quarterback, the best wide receiver in the league, Mark Andrews. Quite frankly, I don't think you need to make any moves here, Guillermo. I think you're pretty set, especially considering these 4 guys are going to carry you to the championship, and these guys are the complementary players, which is crazy to me. So yeah, I think you're fine. I traded Stevenson for Chase. Was that a good trade? Skills, you know what? I think if I give my opinion on the matter, it's not really going to be 100% accurate or foolproof, mainly because I don't know when Chase is coming back. Under the assumption that Chase comes back after his bye week in week, 11, so he would come back technically week 12. If he's to come back then and look similar to where he was prior to the injury, then we're good. But if he comes back, he doesn't trust his injury, he re-injures his hip, and something of that extent, he's slower, he's not able to trust it and make the cuts he needs to, then evidently it will be a bad trade. But I guess that's more of a, hey, we'll wait and see how this all pans out. But trading away a running back who right now is putting up 15, what's the stat? In a half PPR, Ramondre Stevenson's had 17 plus fantasy points in 5 out of the last 6 games. When you're trading away that kind of a prospect and getting back somebody who's a question mark in its entirety, that's tough to do. And that's what kind of scares me on the matter. Troy, what's up? Says, should I trade Diggs for Tua and Jacobs? I need a quarterback, and I can trade Barkley for Jefferson. I think we talked about this earlier, right? We talked about this last week in regards to trading Barkley for Jefferson. But if you're going to trade Diggs away and you're going to get back Tua and Jacobs, oh, man. If it's a desperate need for running back and quarterback, I guess you could make that trade. I don't love it, mainly because I would want a... Man, it's tough, especially when you're trading away Diggs. The guy is just so good. What is it, 5 out of the 7 games this year, over 100 yards and a touchdown? Like in a full PPR scoring format, he's 25 points per game, like easily. Now, if you can go ahead and trade him for Tua and you're currently struggling with having to start guys like Ellinger or, Taylor Heineke, then I understand it. But other than that, it's tough to do. Isaac says, I'm up 70 points with Hurts and Goddard in the Philly defense. Yeah, Philly defense, I don't know how many points they got ultimately, whether they get 2 picks today. Obviously, a good amount of sacks, thanks to Hargrave, and the pressure up the middle there. But yeah, Goddard was extremely good today. That was something that we wanted to see, and we hadn't seen for quite some time, but we'll take it. Any injury news? Steven, I think the best day to kind of collect all the injury news from my experience is on Friday. Because after a player doesn't practice on Friday, that is a full indication that they're most likely not going to play unless they play on Monday and they can extend it because, again, Friday turns to Saturday, etc. But as of this current moment in time, the only pieces of information that we're privy to is that Mark Andrews didn't practice today, neither did Jonathan Taylor. We did see DeAndre Swift at a limited capacity, but again, that doesn't bode well for his overall opportunity for touches going into this week's matchup. What's up, Andrew? Kieran Williams or Jeff Wilson? Wow, that's a good question. I think it's a matter of what you're looking for. I think Jeff Wilson right now is going to be the handcuff in that offense. And if, in fact, something happens to Mostert, he may be able to take over. But ultimately, I think Kieran Williams has a better opportunity of just outright winning the job. Because Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, as long as they're both healthy, they probably split, if anything. Kieran Williams could come in, and because we know McVay only likes to use one running back as his primary guy, could win that job. So I'd probably lean towards the potential upside of what Kieran Williams can go after and end up getting. Because right now, Mostert looks healthy and doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. As I said, I wish Hurts would run more. Yeah, I mean, I don't, to be honest. Can I tell you why? The more Hurts runs, the more he has a chance of getting injured. And that is not something that I want to see for him this year. Especially considering he did it last year, he got injured, and even though the backup Gardner Minshew came in and played very well last year, I will give him that. It's just I do not want to see this undefeated team get slowed down by any injuries. That would be unfortunate. Which 2 out of 3 are we starting this week? Rondale Moore, Lazard, Josh Palmer. If it's me, I'm probably starting Josh Palmer and Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard did practice each of the last 2 days, so my expectation is that he is going to play today. Okay. Let me go ahead. Let me answer some of these donation questions that were sent in, and then we're going to get back into this chat at full speed. Again, we're going to be here for the next, I would venture to say, 2 hours. So if you have any questions, I will get to them as quickly as I possibly can. Just be patient. There's one of me and a lot of you. If you guys could do me a favor, help us get over 100 likes. That'd be greatly appreciated. We need 31 likes to get over that number. Thank you very much. All right. Aaron starts us off. He says, trade Walker, Godwin, Higgins for Dalvin Cook and Chase in a 10-team full PPR. I have Josh Allen, Kamara, Evans, Kupp, St. Brown. So we're trading away Walker, Godwin, Higgins for Cook and Chase. So basically, we are risking, you have Evans, you have Kupp, you have St. Brown, you have Kamara. Here's my biggest, you know what? To be honest, I'm looking at this trade and I'm thinking I'm okay with it. Aaron, I'm fine with this trade. In a 10-team league, considering what you have on roster, and you will probably be starting Evans, Kupp, St. Brown, one of those 3 in your starting lineup every single week in comparison to Godwin and Higgins going forward. I'm very comfortable with this trade because it's a Cook for Walker, which of course I prefer Cook if he continues what he's doing. Obviously, the last couple weeks here have been scoring touchdowns on a consecutive basis, but yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it. Very risky because of the Chase acquisition, but considering what you have on roster, I'm fine with it. Abide sends in a question, says, who do I start in the flex? Lazard, Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pittman, Boyd, or Deion Jackson? I would play Amon-Ra St. Brown. With Hawkinson out, with Swift's limited, I mean, this bodes for a pretty opportune time for Amon-Ra St. Brown to get back on track. Last week, obviously, wasn't able to score a touchdown, but in terms of overall target opportunity, receiving work, receptions, all of that, they're beginning to kind of lean in the right direction. So I'm all good there. Outside of that, the next best option, considering Swift is a little limited, I'd probably say the next best option out of that group is either Tyler Boyd or someone like Pittman. But yeah, in a full PPR, I'd love to play the wide receiver in that point. Thank you. All right, Drew sends in a question. Thank you, Drew. Says, trade Jamal Williams. Wait, Jamal W. Yeah, Jamal Williams. Okay, good. And Walker for Kelsey. He has Swift. It's a keeper league. Okay, so really quickly, just to kind of clarify some points here. If you're trading away Jamal Williams and Walker and you're getting back Kelsey, again, similar to what I told someone just a moment ago, if your running back position isn't stacked, then I don't know if you can afford to technically make this deal. Just outright, I don't think you can afford it. So I'm of the opinion, Drew, that yes, if you already have guys like Barkley and Chubb, and then you've got Walker and Jamal just sitting in the wings, I don't mind making that move for Kelsey, but outside of that, it's tough to do so. Ichigo sends in a question, says, sorry, I meant Dalvin Cook. What are we referring to? A prior question? Let me see here. Traded Kittle, Mixon, and Myers. Aha, for Evans and Cook. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm fine. I mean, again, this is under the assumption that you actually have a tight end that can replace Kittle. Because I think Cook is better than Mixon, and Evans is better than Myers, right? So the idea of you having to also provide Kittle makes sense, but you've got to have somebody to replace this. Otherwise, it is risky. Because you know that Kittle's going to be able to put up the points that not many other tight ends will be able to produce rest of the way. Benny G says, good day, mate. Thank you. What's up? Full PPR. Who scores more out of Kamara, St. Brown, or Henry and Hopkins rest of season? Ooh, Kamara, St. Brown, or Henry Hopkins? I would venture to say, I think wow. Okay, that one's tough because the addition of Marquise Hollywood Brown in that Arizona Cardinals offense could make a huge difference. That being said, I still am of the opinion that Henry and Hopkins may still be able to outscore Kamara and St. Brown. Now, it's a full PPR, which makes it different. Then you probably lean in the direction of Kamara. If it was a half, I'd probably go with the Henry side. But considering Alvin Kamara, what is it? 4 consecutive games of 6 or more catches. He has there is a legitimate argument going the rest of the way from now, week 9 to 17, that Kamara could be the number 1 running back the rest of the way. Of course, if he can keep up with Austin Eckler. So yeah, full PPR, I'd probably take the Kamara side just off the incredible volume of targets and receptions he's getting. Dale Derrick says, okay, 3 questions for you, my guy. Full PPR are each of the leagues. Okay, cool. Should I replace the Bucks defense, Jets, or Broncos defense for this week with the Ravens? I would replace the Bucks. I would replace the Jets play against Buffalo. I would replace the Jets. And then the Broncos defense is on bye, so you probably have to replace them anyway, right? But if you're replacing them with the Ravens, let me look at something real quick. So right now, my Patreon defensive rankings, I currently have the Ravens as my number 9 defense on the week. So technically, yeah, I'm looking at the rest of these options that I have here. We're probably in a position where you could replace them, but you don't have to. I think it's a matter of because the Ravens go on bye anyway next week. So I'm thinking you could probably keep the Bucks and get away with it. I'm thinking you obviously have to replace the Broncos. And then the Jets matchup, yeah, that's probably the only one that I'm feeling comfortable on just replacing outright and not worrying about that. So that's probably the only one out of the 3. And then your following question was Lazard, Swift, or Williams? I probably play Jamal Williams out of the group. And then your follow-up question after that, Joshua Palmer, Christian Kirk, Juju Smith. I prefer Palmer out of the group. It would go Palmer, Juju, then Kirk. Thank you. Let's see here. Max says, what do you got here, Max? Hurts is my quarterback. We have Walker, Aaron Jones, Pacheco as my running backs. My wide receivers are Lamb, Smith, Amari Cooper, Ayuk. Pitts is my tight end. Stay put or make a move. Let's see. We have Jones and Ayuk for a better running back potentially. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm looking at your wide receivers, right? Lamb and Cooper are your primary 1 and 2. And once they come back off the bye, you're good to go. You don't have to replace them for the rest of the season. If you can go ahead and take Ayuk and Aaron Jones and improve that to a running back that has a significantly higher value rest of the season, why not? Because again, you're using your number 3. You're using technically your number 3 or 4 wide receiver, and then you're just making an immediate up play for your running back there. So yeah, I'm fine by that. Alexis says, okay, would you do Amon-Ra St. Brown and Olave for JJ? I think it depends on what the rest of your roster looks like, Alexis. Purely, like if you don't have the depth to afford it at wide receiver, I don't know if it's technically worth it. And what I mean by that is, if you're bringing back Justin Jefferson and then your second starting wide receiver for the rest of the year is going to have to be like Alec Pierce, somebody that's really not even in the top 36 conversation without Matt Ryan active any longer, I think that's a difficult decision to make, right? Bringing in Justin Jefferson in exchange for that, especially considering we have, the information that Michael Thomas is out for the rest of the season with his turf toe, had surgery done. So Olave is not going anywhere anytime soon. Amon-Ra St. Brown's only starting. So if you're going after JJ, you better have a stacked rest of your team. Dylan says, would you trade Andrews and Hines for Pitts and Swift? I got Mixon and ETN right now. I'm 3-5. And I think the buys could crush my playoff chances. Yeah, I mean, let me think here. Hines doesn't have any value in my mind. Ultimately, I think he's just a complimentary piece for them when they get into the playoffs and they have to, go through some shootouts against some really talented teams. For example, the Chiefs, the Bengals, those kind of high-powered offenses, and just kind of keep up with them, especially in the AFC. I mean, there's a lot of firepower over there. But as of right now, if we're trading those options for, dude, the Swift acquisition is tough because I'm of the opinion, Dylan, that if you make this trade, this could also hurt you too. Because if Swift isn't himself for the next 2 to 3 weeks, that could also sink your ship. So I would be willing to move Andrews in exchange to get a running back, but I don't know if Swift's the guy that I'm going after in this specific scenario that you've painted for me. G Hefe says, in a full PPR league, would you trade Swift? Okay, what would you trade Swift for? Let's see here. Swift and Pierce are my running back so far. I'm stacked in my league. Swift doesn't pan out. I might be screwed in a 12-team league. If we're trading away Swift, ultimately it's what you can get in exchange for him. Obviously, you're going to want a running back in return. And going after running backs right now with Swift in hand, I don't know how much pull it's going to really garner at this moment. I feel like a lot of people are giving up on Swift, myself included. I'm beginning to really worried about his injury and his inability to stay healthy. I mean, it's every year now throughout his entire 3-year career. Even though he is young, he's missed 4 games minimum, and that scares. That scares me. So at this point, if you're moving Swift, I mean, I'm looking immediately at guys that just haven't played well as of late. But I don't really want to trade for Fournette, quite frankly. I don't want to trade for Fournette. I don't think that's going to benefit you in any sort of factor. Guys like Cook, Aaron Jones, Mixon, they're out of your range at this position. Miles Sanders coming off a good day, but I mean, I don't expect that to be something that's even in your realm of possibility either. That's the difficulty about trading someone who's hurt. I don't really know what people are going to want for them unless you're trading it to a team that has already got themselves 6 wins ready to go. Because otherwise you're going to have to settle for trading for a far lesser piece. Like, dude, no, I don't even know if someone would take Kenneth Walker for him. I mean, give you Kenneth Walker for him. That's a really tough that's a tough trade idea overall. You might have to just trade him for Jonathan Taylor and hope for the best. But even that one is sketchy. You know what I mean? Evan says, I have Josh Allen, I have Kamara, I have Pollard, I have Christian Kirk, I have Godwin, Hawkinson, Cooks. My bench is Mooney, Gallup, Dotson, Madison, Rashad White, okay, Claypool. I'm 3-5 half PPR. How screwed am I? I mean, I don't think you're technically screwed. I think you're probably in a position where you need a win now. If you're playing in a 12-team league, theoretically, 7 to 8 wins is what you need to make the playoffs if 8 teams make the league. If you are in a league where it's 12 teams and 6 teams make the playoffs, you will need 8 to 9 wins to make the playoffs. So considering the situation that you're in, you have 3 wins right now. You're probably looking to move some pieces here. So if I was you, I think I'm looking to move Pollard. Brandon Cooks is benchable and or tradable at this point. Hawkinson's also in that same capacity because you might not have enough time to afford to wait for him, but it's going to be tough. You're going to have to go find the Zeke manager and see what he wants to give you for Pollard. Lock Screen Gaming says Justin Fields, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, Chris Godwin, Joshua Palmer. We have Dawson Knox as well. Okay, the bench doesn't really matter in regards to that. That doesn't make a difference. I need to. Goddard helped me tremendously today. So, okay, you need 2 out of these potential options for the flex. Dude, Woods, A-Rob, MVS, and Terrace Marshall. My 2 suggestions are A-Rob and MVS there going into the week, Anthony. It is tough, but that's kind of the situation that you're sitting in. Wait, oh, what the heck did I just do? Hold up. So I said Lock Screen Gaming, and then I don't think I even... Yeah, no. Okay, so it re-updated, and I literally lost my place. Okay, so for... Okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Redact everything that I've just mentioned, okay? First and foremost, let me look at these questions again because it literally updated as I was looking at it, and it shifted it out of position. So Lock Screen Gaming's initial question was Justin Fields, Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, Godwin, Palmer, Dawson Knox. Okay, now this is a completely different question. Joe Mixon, Ryan Suckup, Vikings defense. My bench is Gabriel Davis, and Eckler's backup. I'm scared about Eckler being out. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Eckler being out? Are we talking about the same thing? Can someone in the chat try to explain to me what he means by he's afraid of Eckler being out or worried about it? Is Eckler missing practice this week, guys? I guess I'm going to go look it up now because I didn't hear anything about Eckler today. Let's see here. Where's Eckler at? November 3rd. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports it sounds like the Chargers are being very cautious by limiting Austin Eckler dealing with an abdomen in Thursday's practice. Another quote-unquote limited session for Austin Eckler. Okay. Yikes. When the heck? Okay. When did he sustain this injury? I guess it was last or the week prior to the bye. Dude, the Chargers cannot get away from an injury. All right, so in the context of that, if in fact Eckler is out, Lock Screen Gaming, based on your current record, if he's going to miss, I'm still okay playing Sony Michel there. But yeah, that would be pretty brutal to your team because your chances of making the playoffs at your current record is not great overall. You have to quite honestly just win out. So if you want and you're worried about it, you just take Eckler, you take the handcuff, and you trade it. And you go after the next best running back in fantasy, which at this point could be the combination of, well, actually considering Saquon and Nick Chubb are on bye week, you trade for Kamara and you run it that way. Okay, now as for Anthony's question, the next one, bye week, PPR, Eno or... okay, if we're starting Eno or Dylan and James Conner's active, I'd rather play Dylan. As for if, of course, James Conner's not active, then you play Eno, and there's no question about that. Also, best wide receiver 3 in flex option this week. Woods, AB, MVS, Terrace Marshall. Okay, to answer that question, it's A-Rob and MVS. Okay, we did that one earlier. And then you need to... Okay, we got that. Great. Okay, awesome. Marcus Parker says, trade Pierce, Foreman, and Mike Evans for AK and Sutton. My running backs would then be AK Swift, Mostert. My wide receivers would be Devontae Adams, Pittman, and Sutton. I don't know if... Man, Sutton bothers me in this trade, quite frankly. I think you may be giving up a little bit too much. I understand you have enough depth to handle it, but who's playing in your flex? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't really have a flex play every week and we're really struggling with that regard, Marcus, that would be my biggest concern. Outside of that, I don't mind moving away from Foreman. Pierce, Evans for AK and Sutton. Yeah, Sutton is the deal breaker in my mind in that position. Michael Gonzalez says, Pittman, Boyd, or Palmer. Probably need a boom play. I mean, out of the 3 options, if I'm not mistaken, let me confirm. Right now, I think I have Josh Palmer ranked the highest out of the group. I do. I have Josh Palmer literally at 17, Michael Pittman 18, Tyler Boyd 19. Corey Olson says, would you play Seattle or Miami defense off the waivers this week? And would you pick up Likely? Yeah, I would pick up Isaiah Likely, and I'd probably play Seattle's defense off waivers instead of Miami. What are your thoughts on Philly pulling players? What do you mean by that? I mean, like as in later on in the year? As in like week 17, week 18? Is that what you're referring to, Corey? If that's what you're referring to, just say yes in the chat and I'll see it. All right, let me answer some of these questions, shall we? What does it say? Barton is blocked? What do you mean? We talking about Michael Barton? Michael Barton's right here. Would you start DeAndre Carter or Palmer this week? I'd rather play Palmer. What are we talking about? Troy says I sent a super chat. Awesome. Troy, let me check you out. See where we at. Troy. Half PPR, we have Brady or Rodgers. Okay, so if we're picking between the two, I'd rather play Rodgers this week. Diggs, Moore, Thielen, Ayuk, Judy, Hardman. Obviously, you're playing Diggs and Moore. You have Hollywood as well. You have Kamara, Barkley, Hines, Deion Jackson, Melvin Gordon, Patterson. Great, you play Patterson and Kamara this week. Probably look to maybe flex Deion Jackson at that capacity. You have Knox at tight end. What move should I make? I'm 3-5 currently. Your quarterbacks are fine. You can switch back and forth with them. You don't really have to make any moves there. As for the rest of your team, I think moving Ayuk, because there's so many mouths to feed within that offense, is not a bad idea. If you take Ayuk and you take Hardman, or you take Ayuk and you take Judy, and you move that and try to make an improvement at wide receiver, I think that could very easily help you out there. Now, you need immediate impact players because, quite frankly, you're fine at running back. You could honestly improve at tight end as well. I would say go after Fryer Muth, setting Knox and maybe Hardman and just give me Fryer. I mean, I know he's out of bye week this week, but then you'd have to obviously look at guys off the waiver to pick up and play this week, which quite frankly wouldn't be that difficult considering Knox is a touchdown or bust kind of player. But that's the immediate thought. Like I don't see anything to improve at running back considering you have these two. I think you just need to take this depth at wide receiver and try to make a play with it overall, Troy. Goddard got a bunch on his touchdown drive. I mean, listen, he was getting chunks all day long, and that's what we love to see. It's just a matter of him doing it consistently, which is the issue. All right, so let me go ahead. Let me scroll down to this bottom. So here's the dealio, people. For those of you who are joining us, about 350 of you new here, thank you guys for joining us. I got through a quick stint of answering some donation questions. I appreciate for those of you who sent those in. Here's the deal. If, in fact, you have a question in the chat, for example, this one, like Damian Pierce or Debo for Tyreek, please include your scoring format, right? Because it's difficult to answer if I'm just blindly choosing what your scoring format is in my own mind, right? So please let me know what your scoring format is. For example, like this one, Nick says, sit one, Pittman, Lazard, Rondell, or Myers. If I'm sitting one out of this group of players, I'm probably sitting Rondell more. I'm playing Pittman, Lazard, and I'm playing Myers. They all have far more touchdown upside in comparison. And when you're already talking about a PPR, we're probably in the same boat as one another. So that's where I would go, right? Great, awesome. Again, for those of you who haven't checked out the video from earlier today, posted a video in regards to quarterback and tight end rankings. So if you have a question, I saw a couple of them. Hey, Justin Fields or Tua, or Justin Fields or Joe Burrow. If you have a question, the video will answer it. Go over there, click the like button real quick, find the answer, then come on back. I'll answer some more questions for you guys if you have anything that's related to any flex questions, because otherwise interpositional rankings, they're in the videos. So that could very easily answer it, or even Sunday morning can answer that. But if you have any flex questions, that's probably what you guys need to be asking right now. Kane says, I sent in a super chat. Kane, we'll get to that in a minute. I just want to catch up in some of these just normal chats. Again, overall scoring format would be appreciated in a lot of these questions. You know what, Kane, while we're at it, we'll just do yours here. I got offered Eckler for Jonathan Taylor and DJ Moore. Scared of Jonathan Taylor getting shut down for the season, question mark? Yes, I am. I got Mixon, Mostert, Olave, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Listen, considering what I just read about 5 minutes ago regarding Eckler, you would need to immediately then pick up Sony Michel, and I'm okay with that. I would be perfectly fine taking Eckler for both these guys, because at this point, at his pace, the fact that we have all the other receivers pretty much hurt, the reception total that he is just putting up on a weekly basis in itself pays for his overall value. So I'm all good with that. It's Magic says Swift and Olave for D-Hop and Foreman. Swift and Olave for D-Hop and Foreman. Wow, I would say that's super risky, because if Swift comes back next week, let's say week 10, and he's at a full capacity, you would regret this trade immediately because this is 20 points right here. This guy in a full PPR is 20 points. And if if Foreman just can't pull, we're in shambles. So that's my biggest concern. Now, if you're just like, hey, I don't want anything to do with Swift, you can go for it. I don't love it. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, would you trade AJ Brown or Swift for Jacoby Myers? Sorry, would you trade AJ Brown and Swift for Jacoby Myers and Christian McCaffrey? That's what the clarification is. Good question, actually. Man, the issue with injuries is that I don't know, guys. I don't know if Swift's going to come back and when he does. That is the issue. I wish I had a full guarantee as to which week he'll be back and which week he'll look like himself and which week he's going to put up, 20 fantasy points or more. But I don't know. So quite frankly, if you have AJ Brown and you have Swift and you're just, you've got a pretty solid record, I know giving away AJ Brown really hurts considering how well he's playing. What is that? 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games, 5 touchdowns in the last 4. Like it is tough to give him up, but Christian McCaffrey looks like he's going to be an absolute unit for San Francisco. So if you're worried about it, I don't mind the trade. I'm so uncertain about this. It makes it difficult to even talk about Swift in terms of value proposition because I don't know how many games he's going to play the rest of the season. Sit 1, Pittman, Lazard, Rondell Moore, Myers. Yeah, we answered that, Nick. No problem. Start Deion Jackson or Josh Palmer. Probably Josh Palmer in a full PPR. Flex Stevenson or Olave. Stevenson. Hey, Andrew, would you trade AJ? Okay, we already did that one. Let's see here. Just says 5-3 WRL. I just traded Justin Herbert, Monty, Pickens for Jamar Chase and Carr. My team already has Fields. Yeah, that's fine. I don't even need to read the rest of your squad. Considering you have Fields, you're fine. And your record, perfectly fine. And you can afford to take a couple losses just in case Jamar doesn't come back for the next couple weeks. But the fact that you have Henry, Eckler, JT, J-Jet, I mean, yeah, you're fine. You're good to go there. There's no problem in any sort of capacity there. Vince Lee says, in a 12-man league, I have Herbert, Barkley, McCaffrey. Okay, what? We also have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Olave, Cooper Kupp. Oh, sorry, Amari Cooper, Thielen, Gibson, Cordero Patterson. I need a better wide receiver 1. Who do I trade for? If you need a better wide receiver 1, I mean, you can go ahead and pivot in the direction of, if you need a better wide receiver 1 than that, the primary immediate upgrades in my mind would be like, okay, if you're going to pivot from Amon-Ra St. Brown to a better wide receiver, you better be bringing back Kupp, Diggs, Hill, Jefferson, maybe Adams. I think there's a good conversation to be had regarding D-Hop there. I think there's also, you could talk about Waddle, but I think him and Waddle could be very similar in terms of value rest of the way here. What teams, in your opinion, would be landing spots for Odell Beckham? I mean, basically the rumors that we've heard are Green Bay, New York Giants, LA Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks. I would love to see him with the Green Bay Packers, mainly because I think they need a wide receiver 1 that's legitimately a wide receiver 1 kind of talent. But again, we don't know what kind of impact that second ACL is going to put, due to his legs and his ability to immediately come back and make plays, but we'll see. Let's see here. Start 3 out of Metcalf, Thielen, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pittman, Pickens, Monty, Patterson. Okay. So, I mean, out of the bunch here, if we're starting 3 out of the rest of these guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably Pittman or Metcalf. I want to play Patterson. So it's Patterson and Amon-Ra St. Brown and a half PPR. It's just a matter of Pittman or Metcalf. Right now, I'm probably leaning towards Pittman there. Thank you. All right. A couple more donations that were sent in. We had answered Corey. We answered Mr. It's Magic. Kane, we took care of that. Maximo says, I traded Chase and Kenneth Walker for Lamar. Still have Hopkins, Pittman, and Sutton. Don't like it. And Mixon, Stevenson, and ETN. Russell was my quarterback. I do not like the trade, mainly because I think you gave up too much. And I feel like you could have spent a lot less and gotten a mediocre quarterback and been just fine considering the depth that you would have had on roster. Now, I understand you have Mixon, Stevenson, and ETN. Still, I mean, it is tough to give away Chase and Walker and get back only that as your quarterback. If I'm trading away Chase and Walker, I want to at least get back Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, or Allen. I mean, I would want to have the whole bank like just empty out in terms of fantasy value at quarterback. But hey, it is what it is. You made the trade. Let's hope for the best. It's Magic says, where do you have Olave rest of the season? I think I have him just inside the top 15. So even with the return of Michael Thomas, when I did my rest of the season rankings video 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago this time, I had him, I think at number 13 or 12 or something. I don't know. Let me go check. Where did I have him? Let's go pull up my old video. Maybe he was in the 17s. I don't even remember. But I'll tell you where I have him now after the fact. Let's see. Where's my rest of season rankings? Okay, so here's my rest of season. Let's go to wide receivers. I had Olave at number... what? Why is my quality of my YouTube video so low? 144p. What the heck? There, right. I had him at number 14. I think he pretty much stays in that same position. I had him at 14 last week, and that was under the expectation that Michael Thomas doesn't even return, because I already had a feeling that he wasn't going to. So, yeah, I think you'll be just fine having him in that same conversation going forward. Let's see here. Let me scroll up a little bit. Okay. Thoughts on ETN and Akers rest of the season? ETN should probably be top 10 rest of the season. Especially if they continue to give them the ball at the capacity in which they are. That volume level, it's elite. When you're getting yourself near 15 plus touches on the ground in terms of rushing attempts is enough. The fact that he got to 24 last week, that leads me to believe that, of course, they're 100% in on ETN being a 3-down back. They're giving him goal line carries. Perfect. We love to see it. And yes, he's not getting as much receiving work as we'd like, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter because he's scoring touchdowns as late. As for Akers, I don't expect him to play for the Rams ever again. I believe they've already come to a decision in their mind by the fact that they wanted to trade him for literally anything. I think the Rams would have taken a 7th round pick for Akers. They would have taken a compensatory pick for Cam Akers, but they couldn't get a team to give them that because no one wants him. So I'm expecting them to release Akers and or make him a practice squad running back rest of the season. So I don't expect him to play. Andrew, should I trade DJ Moore for Fields? Because I need a quarterback and I have Dalton currently. I have CeeDee Lamb and Hill in a 14-team league. In a 14-team league, if your best option at quarterback is legitimately Dalton, man, Fields, I hope Fields can keep this up. I just don't know if he will. That's the biggest issue. My assumption is that he's on a pretty good pace here, but running the ball 14 times a game is definitely going to potentially provide injury risk or potential for an injury. Would you trade DJ Moore for him? I'm okay with it. Considering you have Andy Dalton, I think Andy Dalton presents you decent enough value, but Justin Fields obviously has a higher ceiling of potential. It is risky because, again, if he gets hurt, I mean, you're cooked, and especially how much he runs. So it is risky, and that's my biggest hesitation. It's not a matter of whether or not his fantasy points will, be sufficient enough in comparison to Dalton, because that's a given. It's a matter of whether he can stay healthy and whether this trade ends up hurting you in the long run. I'll take it for now, but yeah, it's tough. Pick 2, need upside. Claypool, Raymond, Watson, Marshall, Thornton. Oof, we are in trouble there, huh? I'm not playing Claypool this week. I want to wait and see how they utilize him, whether it's in the slot or out wide. Raymond has not... Khalif Raymond, I guess he's been better in the last couple weeks. I don't know if he's startable. Watson's definitely not startable. Marshall, Terrace Marshall, yeah, it is probably... I'm not even joking. It's probably Marshall and Thornton this week, which is crazy to me, but it is. Does this performance out of Pierce with a lot of yards but no touchdown encourage you or discourage you? Why would this discourage me? Eber, it absolutely encourages me in any sort of capacity. But we already knew that Dameon Pierce was capable of this. But we also ranked him low in comparison because we knew that he was capable of this. Getting all the yardage, not scoring a touchdown. Or getting a touchdown but not getting the yardage needed to be an upper tier back. But again, he's probably going to finish within the top 15 by the end of the week and a half PPR. And that's where we like him. That's what he is. He's a lower end RB1, higher end RB2. And if he has upside play in terms of receptions or touchdowns, then we're good. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think that was a great performance overall from him. Lazard or Mooney this week? Shane, I would play Lazard by a long shot. Hey, Andrew, would you trade Debo for Olave in a full PPR? Yeah, I would. I do not mind that. 3-5 currently going up against Goddard. Yeah, I'm fine with that, Noah. I probably have Debo and him in a similar range, because if that Christian McCaffrey performance lent us any sort of intel as to how they're going to use Christian McCaffrey, was that 9 targets, 8 catches? Seems to me like a lot of other people, other pieces in this offense aren't going to be getting very many targets, which is definitely tough for Debo Samuel. So yeah, I'm fine by rolling with that. Should I trade London for Pickens and Dobbs? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Give me Pickens and Dobbs this season. Is it just me, or does ETN feel untouchable? He is. Do you mean in a tradable sense, or do you mean in an on-field sense? Because I'm not even joking. The stat that I read on Tuesday's video, guys. Let me go see if I can pull it up. Where's my? I gotta go pull up my script. Where the heck is this thing? Here we go. Boom. There it is. So let me pull this sucker. Let me scroll a little bit. Okay. This season already. Where the heck is it? Okay, let me look him up. Where ETN? Here it is. So in terms of yards before contact per attempt this year, okay, in comparison to all other running backs, okay, Jeff Wilson is ahead of him by 0.2 yards, and then Breece Hall is ahead of him by almost a full yard. But Breece Hall's gone, and Jeff Wilson's now a backup running back. Currently, Travis Etienne averages 3.6 yards before contact per attempt. So the idea of him being untouchable, it's quite literally because he's not being touched. He's getting the ball, and he's not making contact for the first 3 yards of carrying the ball. So he's pretty much getting back to the line of scrimmage, and then he's off and away, because his elusiveness, his 7-yard per carry average, it's just, whew, it's crazy. We love to see it, dude. We love it. Should I trade Pierce for Amon-Ra St. Brown? I have Ramondre, Mixon, and Kenneth Walker with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I'm okay with that trade. Yeah, I don't mind it. In a full PPR scoring format, that works for me, Bam. Flex 2. Flex 2. Myers, Gabriel Davis, A-Rob, or David Montgomery. Myers and Gabriel Davis are probably the ones that I prefer out of this group for sure. Myers 100%, assuming it's a PPR. And then Gabriel Davis, I'm willing to always risk it with him every week. Palmer or Godwin, I have Godwin ahead of him. Hey, Andrew, would you trade? Okay, we already went over that. Andrew, do you think ETN is top 3? In what capacity? Top 3 in what? What category? Are we talking about top 3 in snap counts for his own team? Or are you talking about top 3 for the rest of the season? Because there's no way he's outscoring guys like Barkley, Chubb, Eckler, Kamara. It's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not doing it. Now, I'd love to see it, but I don't think he's got the receiving potential to even meet those guys, because what all those guys really have in common is the ability to score touchdowns, catch the ball at a high capacity, and of course get a bunch of yardage even when their teams are in negative game scripts. Let's see here. All right, Dale Derrick says, can you repeat the defensive rankings? Yeah, for your question earlier, just to go up. So your question specifically, okay, should I replace the Bucks, Jets, or Broncos? So your question specifically, Dale, I said keep the Bucks, replace the Jets, replace the Broncos. That's fine by me. I was saying that I have the Ravens at my number 9 defense this week. So that's the direction that I'm looking in for those specific defenses that you have in your 3 leagues there, Dale. Thank you. As for your follow-up, I have Ertz, I have Kyler, and I have Waller on my IR. Should I wait and see how he does before I trade? Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe option. You wait, let's see how much utilization Waller gets. If Waller pops off, you know you can safely keep him, or maybe even try to flip him for an even better piece in return. Callie, okay, why did I say that way? Kelly, what's up? Thank you very much. Says 10 team PPR. I have Foreman, ETN, Pittman, Lazard. Okay, we got a pretty good stable group here. Your flex options potentially for this week are Dobbs, Herbert, Rondell Moore, Demarcus Robinson. Okay, if we're playing in a PPR scoring format, I think I'm probably playing Rondell Moore there as my flex. Considering every other option I'm playing, I would like to play Khalil Herbert. I mean, listen, the fact that Khalil Herbert is in a position where he's technically the backup, but he's not really the backup, it makes it tricky, right? Because I want to play him. I just don't think it's a guarantee that he's able to get himself these touchdowns that he's been able to score the last couple weeks. So in a PPR, I just feel safer with going Rondell Moore there. Johnny Coffee says, sent messages in the comments, but just rather do this. Dobbs, Rondell Moore, or Palmer. This week, I currently have it ranked Palmer, Rondell Moore, and Dobbs in that exact order. Mainly the reason why it's changed since yesterday's video, Keenan Allen is going to be out. Rondell Moore still in his same position, but now Dobbs is going to be kind of reduced in terms of the overall expectation of fantasy production, mainly because Alan Lazard has practiced each of the last 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. So we're expecting Lazard to be a little bit higher ranked. So we'll go Palmer, Lazard, Rondell Moore in that order and a half PPR. And then you say, do I also start Jamal Williams or Cordero Patterson? I currently have Jamal Williams. I think I'm at number 12 ranked running back right now. I moved him up a little bit more based on the current participation of DeAndre Swift in these last couple practices here. So Jamal Williams is in my top 12 officially. So I'd play him over Cordero. Thank you, Johnny Coffee. Corey Olson says, I drafted ETN, then dropped him. I picked him up off the waivers 2 weeks before the breakout. Talk about... yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Would you go with... Let's see here. What does it say? Talk about a pickup. And would you go after Devonta Smith? Right now, probably not. I mean... The 1 week I feel confident about Devonta Smith, he completely just disappears. And in the following week, in that same 7-day span, he's like, you know what, Andrew? I'm missing out again. So for right now, I probably just wait out on that. All right, let me go ahead. Let me scroll to the bottom here. Samuel, let me see what your question is. Samuel says, PPR, do I need a better running back? I currently have Tua. I have Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards. I think these two could be improved upon. Debo, Higgins, Boyd, Lockett, Tony, Van Jefferson, McLaurin, Mike Williams, and Goddard. Do you need a better running back? I mean, technically, these two guys can carry you for the rest of the year, right? Henry and Miles Sanders. And I'm not really too worried about that either. As for these two, these are the issues because Gus Edwards doesn't catch the ball, and neither does Brian Robinson. And quite frankly, considering J.D. McKissic is not playing this week, most likely, it opens up more opportunity for Antonio Gibson to reclaim a 3-back role within this offense, or a three down back role within this offense. And obviously Gus Edwards dealing with a hamstring. Hamstrings are tough because especially at the running back position, you can re-aggravate those quite easily. So yeah, I think you probably do need a running back. My suggestion, let's move Debo. Let's go get another running back in exchange for that. Outside of that, I think depending on your record, there also could be a conversation about moving Mike Williams if in fact you need a win now and you can't afford for him to come back in 3 weeks from now to help you. So these two options could easily be moved in search for a running back for the coming weeks here. All right, let's see here. Half PPR, wide receiver. Can I what wide receiver can I trade Foreman for? I mean, that's tough because listen, even though Foreman's coming off of back-to-back weeks of 100 yards, trading him for a wide receiver, in my mind, is, I mean, especially if you have sharp league mates and they understand what is potentially going to happen in a couple weeks here, Foreman's not going to be able to score touchdowns at that capacity every single week, especially once the matchups get a little bit tougher. That being said, their matchups don't get technically tougher. When you get into December with this team, they play against Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. That, in my mind, leads me to believe that Foreman, if in fact Chuba Hubbard is going to take a little bit of a step back within his role within this offense, considering his injury and the inability to come back sooner than we expected, you should be looking for higher tier talent at wide receiver. Like I would legitimately go after guys like Chris Olave and think that's fair. Because I think that the way that this offensive line is played, I mean, they've played significantly better than the names that are on the back of their jerseys. And going forward, the matchups only get easier for Foreman. It's just a matter of whether or not someone is willing to give you that for Foreman. That's the question. Obviously, I'd love to get Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf in return. I don't think they'll give you that. But those are the kind of names that I'm looking for that are in that mid-teen fantasy point production that at least interests me in that regard. Half PPR, what can I possibly get for Jonathan Taylor? Carlos, you have to find someone who's willing to get, like, okay, let's say, for example, I have a team and I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor right now. I don't even know if I want to trade for him in any sort of capacity. Unless I'm legitimately giving you like Najee Harris and stealing Jonathan Taylor just for free, it would be extremely difficult for me to want to trade for Jonathan Taylor. Like, if I have Dameon Pierce on my roster, sure, the prospect of going after Jonathan Taylor is exciting. Maybe I can go ahead, pick up Deion Jackson, trade for Jonathan Taylor for, Dameon Pierce, and just wait. If something pans out, great. If not, I have Deion Jackson as handcuff, and it'll pan out. But again, it's all risk. It's all risk. It really is. Like, it's the amount of risk that is just entailed within this singular player is ridiculous to me. I never thought Jonathan Taylor would get here, but that's what injuries do, and that's what a losing football team does. Especially when they replace Matt Ryan, and the overall RB targets start to diminish in that regard as well. So at this point, you got to find somebody that's willing to give you a running back in exchange. I just don't know if anybody's going to give you someone that's putting up over 10 points per week. You could probably go after DeAndre Swift. Again, you're in the same issue. You're in the same problem. Godwin and Foreman for Amon-Ra and a half PPR. No, I'd keep those two. Unless you're in debt. I mean, unless you're like stacked across the board and Godwin and Foreman are your number 4 wide receiver, number 4 running back, then I guess you could make a little bit of a slight upgrade there, but otherwise you don't need to. Should I trade Fournette plus Olave for Dalvin Cook? I also have Eckler, Diggs, Waddle, and Godwin. I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it, Nate, to be honest. I think to an extent this may be considered giving away too much. I would want somebody more stable at running back. But the reason why I say more stable is because as soon as I get Dalvin, my immediate fear becomes injury, and I need Alexander Mattison on my team. And if I don't have that ready to go, this could be a little bit of an issue. So if you can get Alexander Mattison as well, some way, whether he's on waivers or something like that, Nate, then I'm okay with it. Because I think, of course, Diggs, Waddle, Godwin can probably start for your team every single week henceforth, and you're not going to miss Olave. It's just a matter of improving that second running back and going from Fournette, who could honestly be replaced by Rachaad White in a couple weeks now if he keeps playing like, you know what, and you're just pivoting to Dalvin, which, of course, at this point is an upgrade. Jacobs, Cooks for Olave and Walker. Is this Cooks like Brandon Cooks? I'd probably just take the Olave side, because I don't know if Brandon Cooks is even going to get cut. The assumption is that he will, but quite frankly, I don't know if the organization wants to take that L, because there's a lot of money implicated in that. Hypothetically, if I can pick up Josh Palmer for Gus the Bus Edwards and start him instead of Pittman, Lazard, or Myers in a full PPR, hypothetically, I think I would start him over Lazard. I wouldn't start him over Pittman and Myers. But the whole question, Nick, becomes, do you need Gus Edwards? Like, if he comes back healthy in week 11, can he actually provide a starting position for your team? Because if he does, then you don't make that swap. But as of right now, I don't think you technically need to make that adjustment from Lazard to Palmer, but I guess you could technically, hypothetically, as we like to say here. Before work says, should I pick up James Conner off the waivers? Yes. I have Eckler, Monty. Yeah, I would be willing to drop Brian Robinson for James Conner right now. 100%. Garrett says, DeAndre Carter and Allen Robinson or DeMarcus Robinson. Okay, so if we're picking out of this group of players, currently I have DeAndre Carter probably it's a full PPR, right? I would be comfortable rolling with DeAndre Carter, then A-Rob, then DeMarcus Robinson. My only issue is A-Rob has significantly higher touchdown upside than the rest of this group based on the amount of targets he gets down there. But in terms of a full PPR, assuming everyone is zeroed out at touchdowns by the end of the week, DeAndre Carter probably the better option. Should I be worried about McPherson? The fact that he missed a field goal the other night was kind of a surprise. I wouldn't be too worried about him. Should I trade Kirk Cousins and what does that say? Ramondre Stevenson for Joe Burrow? No, I wouldn't. I keep what you have. I just got Chase in another trade. Yeah, no, I don't need the stack. I don't need it. I'd rather have Ramondre. He's 17 plus points per week. Palmer or James Conner PPR? I'd probably play Palmer there. Jacobs, Cooks. Okay, we already did that question. DeAndre Carter or Gerald Everett? Ooh, that's a good one. Actually, I don't know. I'd probably venture to say Everett, but it's going to be relatively close. Would you trade Swift for Olave? Wait, would you trade Swift for Olave now that Thomas is out? Probably not. I mean, listen, I don't think Olave gets much of a bump because, again, the production that he has seen over the course of the last 5 weeks have been without Michael Thomas. So it's not like he's getting more targets now that Thomas is out. Thomas hasn't played. So he's pretty much the exact same value than what he has been over the course of the last month. So I still think that Swift is a better value overall, but he's got to be healthy for this, which, again, is a completely different conversation for someone who's far more qualified in terms of determining injury risk and potential rest of the way. Need to start 3. Which 3 of these running backs would you choose? Start Herbert, Pierce, Aaron Jones, Pacheco, Algier. Out of the group, Aaron Jones is an automatic start. Just blindly, just put him in there. We got no problem. Pierce already played. So if you didn't start him, that would be unfortunate. And then the third best option on the video that I posted on Tuesday, The third highest ranked running back out of that group was Khalil Herbert, and then it was Algier. So hopefully you started Herbert, Pearson out, and Aaron Jones going into this week. Hopefully. If you didn't, and maybe you benched Pierce, then you would play Herbert, Aaron Jones, and Algier going forward. Trade Christian Kirk for Olave? Yes, 100%. It's not even close. 100%. Okay, let me see if there was any more questions sent via donation. Do appreciate you guys sending those in, and do appreciate you guys being patient in the matter. Matt K sends in a question. Says, need to trade one. Who's better rest of the season, Tua or Herbert? Ooh, wow. You know, the fact that I'm even considering this question kind of gives you a little bit of an idea as to where Herbert has gone and where he came from. Herbert was the number 2 ranked quarterback on my list prior to the season beginning. But unfortunately, due to his injury, the injury of Keenan Allen, and now, of course, Michael Williams, Austin Eckler dealing with some injuries, it is just all a mess. Once all those guys are healthy, I 1000% agree that Herbert is the better option. But the issue is you're going to have to wait 3 more weeks for them all to be healthy. Can you afford to wait that long? If you're looking towards, hey, Andrew, I just want to have players that are far more equipped with a fantasy playoff schedule that can win me a championship, I'd rather have Herbert. Let's see here. Corey Olson says, I have London, Lamb, Waddle, Pittman. Should I worry about my wide receiver depth? I'm stacked the running back with Swift, Jamal, Henry, Etienne, Robinson, and Damian Harris. Okay, quite frankly, when I look at your running back position, Robinson Jr., like Brian Robinson, and Damian Harris, they're handcuffs at this point, right? They're not really going to ever contribute to your team. As for your wide receivers, having Lamb and Waddle and Pittman, you're good to go there. I don't think there needs to be any sort of adjustment. Again, London is one of those options when you're in bye week, apocalypse. You can go ahead and play him, but ultimately you don't even have to, Corey. So you just hold those guys. If they have breakout performances, maybe you can move them, maybe you can play them. But quite frankly, you have such a stacked wide receiver and running back pool that you don't really have to pivot in any sort of capacity. Dale says, so I wasn't clear on my last question, my bad. What are the rest of season rankings for defenses? You know what, Dale? I don't even have those ranked. If I was to assume who is going to be the best defenses just off the top of my head, I would say that the Dallas Cowboys have a very good chance of maintaining at the top, along with New England and Buffalo. Those are probably the 3 defenses that I feel most comfortable with rest of season. Let me even go check. I'm actually curious. Where does the defensive position kind of sit at this moment? Let's hear it. Fantasy points. Let's go standard scoring. Position. Let's go DST. Currently, the Cowboys are number 1. The Eagles, because of tonight's game, they're number 2. But besides that, it would be New England and Buffalo. So yeah, I was right in that idea that it's Cowboys, New England, Buffalo, then San Francisco. Like I was mentioning, it probably stays consistent. Dallas, New England, Buffalo. Those are the top 3. Outside of that, you don't have to hold the defense. You could just play matchups. Omar G, thank you very much. Says, Deion Jackson, a running back, or Khalil Herbert in a full PPR? Swift and Taylor, yeah. If in fact Taylor's out, I would rather play Deion Jackson in a full PPR scoring format this week. Alrighty, let's get back into this chat. Let's see here. Infinite Possibility says I'm in a 1 quarterback league, half PPR. I have tight end Noah Fant, Juwan Johnson, Evan Ingram, Jordan Akins, and Tanner Hudson. Got to start 2 tight ends this week. Okay, well, Jordan Akins already played. Can you tell me? Okay, yeah. Evan Ingram's the automatic, and Ingram is spelled with an E, but no problem. It would be Evan Ingram and Noah Fant. Those are my 2 suggestions this week. Yeah, that's it. I don't think I want to play Juwan Johnson, even if Adam Trotman is out. I'm not really too interested there. So it's Noah Fant against Arizona, which is the best matchup of the week, and it's Evan Ingram versus Las Vegas, which, again, they've given up their fair share of points to opposing tight ends. Again, if you guys haven't checked out my video from earlier today, posted my top 16 quarterback and tight end rankings. There's a full visual representation of them, so you can just fast forward through it if you'd like. Just go click over there. Be sure to click the like button. Check out the rankings. If you're good to go, you can bow out and come back here. We're good to go. Thank you. This week and rest of season, Cordero Patterson or Khalil Herbert. Or, wait, Cordero Patterson, Khalil Herbert, or DeAndre Swift. So are we talking about pick one of the sides, like as in Cordero Patterson, Khalil Herbert, or you can have DeAndre Swift? Because if I'm picking, oh man, I think it purely depends on what the rest of your team looks like. If you're just asking me all 3 of these options, Cordero Patterson, Herbert, Swift is the best option the rest of the season. As for this week, the best option is Cordero Patterson, though, because he plays against the LA Chargers. Yo, Andrew, should I trade Edwards-Helaire, Mooney, and Zay Jones for Najee and Amari Cooper? Yes, absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, Father. Let's see here. Stewart0039 says, I have DeAndre Swift, Kamara, Pollard, and James Robinson. Do I trade Pollard for Jamal Williams straight up? Ooh, oh man. I think that's a very valid question, and quite frankly, I think you probably should. My assumption is that Pollard probably comes back. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking, okay? I'm thinking that you know what? Now, okay. Let's put it this way. I'm thinking there's a very good chance that Tony Pollard looks like DeAndre Swift does the rest of the year. Now, let me go ahead and paint this picture to you guys. The way that DeAndre Swift is going to be utilized rest of the season once he comes back from his injury is going to be, hey, I'm going to get myself, probably 15 touches per game. I'm going to have touchdown upside, but ultimately I'm also going to have Jamal Williams in this backfield, and he's going to siphon value, and he's going to prevent me from getting to those 30-point games. That being said, that's the exact same thing that I expect to see from Pollard. In the idea that he probably plays. I mean, this season he's averaging about 11 touches per game prior to this last week of starting. If he can get himself up to 15 touches per game and then be the DeAndre Swift of this offense, maybe he's just as valuable. Maybe he's 15 points a week if he finds touchdowns. But that's the difference maker, right? Can he find those touchdowns? Now, when I look at Jamal Williams, oh man, dude, it is tough. I think it's probably safer to take Jamal Williams because he's a known commodity and we know how they're going to use him rest of the way. Pollard's the risk, because if you go and you keep Pollard, we have to hope that Zeke doesn't get touchdowns anymore and he's not the goal line back. Because if he is, and Pollard is sitting out here, yes, getting the yardage, getting about like 80 to 100 yards per game, but only finishing with 10, 11 points, it's not going to be enough for us to justify that overall. Because I quite frankly think that Jamal Williams does just as much, if not more. And then on top of it, we have a conversation where as soon as DeAndre Swift, if in fact it happens, goes back out, you have the handcuff and a 20-point back at that point. Who's the best receiver I can get for Miles Sanders? I think you could probably go after Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb. Do you think Tony has value this season? And does CEH get this early season production back? No. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will probably not get his early season production back. And Kadarius Toney only has value if in fact Andy Reid schemes up specific plays just for him. And Andy Reid is good at that. So if he schemes up plays just for him, just the exact way that they do for Mecole Hardman, then he could have value. But again, there's a lot of mouths to feed within that offense. That makes it that much more difficult to trust. Let's see here. Let everyone know Kamara is going to be the number one RB this season. I mean, rest of the way, he probably is. I mean, listen, this entire offseason, right? Everyone was worried about Kamara and his entire legal situation. Obviously, just like we talked about, when was the last time we ranked him in the offseason? I think it was the tier list video. I told y'all, listen, you have to be all in or you have to be all out. You got to fully buy in on Alvin Kamara, or you got to say you never want to have any sort of piece of him this year. And at this point, for those of you who trusted it and went after him, it paid dividends, right? And so far, it's been a bumpy ride because of the first injury that he sustained with the ribs. But going forward with Andy Dalton, it looks like it could be the best season of his career based on just overall statistics that he could put up rest of the way here. Let's see here. Okay, we did Omar's question. We're good to go. Hey, Andrew, would you take Gus the Bus rest of season or Brian Robinson Jr.? Probably Gus the Bus Edwards. I trust the offensive line more for Baltimore. I trust that they'll probably get him more and more involved as the weeks go on, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's see here. Should I keep or trade Mixon? If so, who do I target? If you're going to get rid of Mixon, you're going to need a running back in exchange, right? Unless you somehow have enough depth, Damian, to where you don't need him. If you're going to get rid of Mixon, it is going to be difficult technically to get a running back in exchange that has just as much receiving upside and is going to get as many touches as Mixon does in his own backfield. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Like, you could very easily pivot him into Kenneth Walker. I was thinking of the letter K and then just Khalil popped out of my mouth. You could very easily pivot him into Kenneth Walker. But again, Kenneth Walker, more accessible to touchdowns as of late in comparison to Mixon, but there's always the conversation of receptions. Mixon gets a lot of them, and Kenneth Walker doesn't. Now, if you're going to pivot him into Dalvin Cook, by all means, let's do it. As for Leonard Fournette, not interested in that kind of a pivot. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking across the board. I don't think anybody's going to give you Ramondre for him. If they do, I'm okay with that. Let's go get Ramondre. But those are the kind of guys I have in mind. I don't think somebody's giving you Aaron Jones for him right now. But at that point, I wouldn't mind going after Aaron Jones. That's the thing with Mixon. He has so much potential upside, but he's just not acting upon it. And once he does, he'll be good enough to where you're going to need to trade him for another 15-point running back for it to make it fair. Otherwise, you don't trade him at all. Because it's not a matter of if he gets his touchdowns. It's a matter of when. And I think when is probably the next couple weeks here where we're going to start seeing those 1 to 2 touchdown games where he starts racking up. Is DPJ a must-add with Watson coming back? I don't know if he's a must-add because of Watson coming back, because I was already under the impression that he was already a guy that needed to be added 5 weeks ago. You go look at those waiver wire episodes that I've put together. He has always been in that conversation. He obviously wasn't there on Monday because, again, I mentioned him for 4 consecutive weeks. The guy is a 10-plus point player right now in a full PPR. Imagine when Watson comes back and they air it out, especially considering their playoff matchups. Weeks 15 through 17 are extremely difficult in terms of running the ball. Should I trade McLaurin and Foreman for Amon-Ra? I think we talked about this earlier. Again, you're going to have a lot of depth on roster for you to be giving away these 2 pieces for this one. Now, if you're stacked at running back, you got 3 other studs and 3 other wide receiver studs, I'm okay with it at that point, Jason. I traded Godwin and Foreman. I traded Godwin for Foreman, huh? Okay, interesting. Good trade to recover from the Breece Hall injury. I have Kamara, James Robinson, Hines, Pacheco. Okay, at that point, considering you really don't have anybody else besides Kamara, I'm fine with it. Obviously, you have enough wide receiver depth to sustain this move. So, okay, that's fine by me. I don't have a problem with that. Let's see here. Would you rather have Elliott or Tony Pollard? I'd rather have Tony Pollard because I think there's just more potential within him. Yeah, there's just way more potential within it. And especially considering Zeke is dealing with a knee injury, there's always a chance that Zeke re-aggravates that knee injury and misses time. And if he does, guess what? Tony Pollard's going to the moon. Drop Paris for Demarcus Robinson. Yeah, I'm okay with that. No problem with that at all. I think I have Demarcus Robinson. Let me go pull up my rankings. I have him pretty high in comparison to Paris Campbell this week specifically. But again, that's a 1-week move. It's not like something we can hope for the rest of the season. Like, I understand Demarcus Robinson will play more now that Rashad Bateman is out for the rest of the season. But again, you got to assume that Devin Duvernay is going to be the guy that pretty much picks up all that value the rest of the way. Where do I have Demarcus Robinson in compare? Yeah, so I have Demarcus Robinson as my number 49 wide receiver on the week. Paris Campbell's down at 54. So again, rather have one over the other. Pick up Deion Jackson and Sony Michel. Yeah, I mean, you know what? That presents a really good thing in my mind. I got to go check some of my leagues for Sony Michel just in case. Because legitimately, if in fact Eckler doesn't play, I think Sony Michel is a top 15 back this week. And I'm not even exaggerating. I don't think he'll be available in a lot of he's available in one of my wait, is he available? Baby. Give me a second, guys. I gotta go make a swap real quick. Let's go ahead and drop this. Bada boom. Thank you. Alrighty. Sony Michel picked up in that league. Let me go to another one. Give me a second, guys. I mean, listen, there's not a guarantee that Eckler doesn't play, but I think in terms of insurance, if you have guys on your bench that are just stash guys, like if you're just holding them just to see if they pan out in a couple weeks and you have the ability to pivot off them, it's probably not a bad idea to do it for Michelle because, again, dude, am I really logged out at all these accounts? Okay, good. My password is saved. Whew. Good to go. All right, let me come back to this chat. Where are we at here? Okay, we saw a couple more donations come in here. Let me go answer a couple more of these. Joseph says, what should I change on my team? I'm 2-6. We have Hurts. We have Dak. Okay, so one of these guys need to be traded, I think. Specifically, of course, you've already played Hurts this week. I think you need to trade you need to probably trade Dak away immediately. I know Hurts has a bye week coming up, so maybe you want to hold, but I think trying to get as much value for that as possible as soon as you can is probably a good idea, especially if you can do that before this upcoming weekend's games. That being said, let me look at the rest of your team. Kamara, Walker, ETN, Patterson. You don't need to make any running back movements. I mean, quite frankly, you do not. Jeff Wilson and Robinson don't even need to be on this team, considering they'll never start. But again, there are options that if in fact an injury is to occur to Gibson and or Mostert, they have upside and tradability. You have CeeDee Lamb, Boyd, Olave, and Mike Williams. I mean, you're fine until Mike Williams comes back, considering the level of talent you have at wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, and Olave in specific. You have Mark Andrews, and you have the Eagles defense. I mean, again, I don't know how you're 2-6. I can assume the reason why is because Walker and Etienne have only just panned out recently. Patterson's been injured. Kamara's been injured. Jeff Wilson at times has not been great, but at times has been. Brian Robinson's only. I think you're coming on late here, and I think, quite frankly, you don't need to make any moves to make any radical decisions to swap up this team much. But if in fact you are looking to make a move, it's to send Dak away, send away Mike Williams as well, and get back a wide receiver that can at least start for you in a capacity on a weekly basis. Now, if you have to go ahead and really make a bundle trade and send Olave and Mike Williams and Dak and try to go get one of those really top tier wide receivers, do it. Because I think it helps you in the long run. Traded Connor for Ramondre. Yeah, that's beautiful. Love to see it. Full PP. Okay, let's see here. Full PPR start 2. Pittman, Lazard, Josh Palmer, Tyler Boyd. I currently have Palmer number 1 out of that group. Let me check my full PPR rankings. And then I have Palmer number 1, Pittman number 2, Tyler Boyd number 3, Lazard number 4. That's the order. Thank you. All right, couple more donations sent in. Sweezy, thank you very much. Says, Mostert or Deion Jackson in a full PPR this week? I probably still played Mostert there. I have him higher in my ranking in a full PPR. Travis Nunn says, Taylor, Kamara, Pollard, Walker. Trade for what wide receiver? Do you really want to trade? If you're going to, okay, let's say, for example, you trade away Taylor, right? And you're going to keep Kamara, Walker, and Pollard, theoretically, right? If you're going to trade away Taylor, I mean, quite frankly, I want top-tier talent back. Who exactly? Again, just like I was mentioning earlier to somebody else, give me Devontae Adams. I don't care how, Carr has played recently. I'm sure they'll get back on track. So give me Devontae Adams. Is it going to be the best overall trade possible? No, because if Jonathan Taylor comes back and is great, then there's no problem. But you have to understand that you're trading away an injured player. And then when you're doing so, their value or perceived value by the other team is far less. So you may even go to a Devontae Adams manager and say, hey, I want this trade. And they may turn around and say, you know what? Can't do it because he's injured. That's the biggest difference. Like I told you guys, the value of a player is what you could legitimately get back in return from them. What the other manager values them at. And if another manager does not value them high enough, then it's hard to say what I value them at in comparison to other people, because we work differently in terms of expectation of value. Any chance that DeAndre Swift can lead if healthy? Does Jamal Williams take the red zone touches? Yeah, Jamal Williams is probably going to take red zone touches all year long. Does he take all of them rest of the way? Probably not. But once Swift is healthy, you know what the thing is about Swift, which makes him such a great player overall? He doesn't need red zone attempts. He will take a 40-yard rush to the house, which of course will give him innate value in that regard. All right, let's see here. Another question that was sent in, Seth East. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it. Says, 12-team full PPR. Have Geno, Deshaun Watson, Barkley, Etienne, Sanders, Montgomery, Herbert, Kupp, Olave, likely Andrews, London, Rondell Moore. 3 and 5 any moves. Quarterbacks stay the same. Running backs stay the same. You can probably bundle up Montgomery and Herbert and send it, but I don't think you need to. Kupp, Olave, likely Andrews. I mean, you're fine there. I mean, it really is just a matter of who's your quarter. You're fine. I mean, Kupp has already come off the bye. The Saints, I don't remember. Did they have a bye earlier this year? I don't think they did. I think they had a bye early last season. That's what I'm kind of getting confused. So at this point, I don't think you need to make any moves. I guess once, in fact, Olave hits his bye week, that is when you probably need to get another wide receiver, because I don't think Rondell Moore by that time. Let me check here. When did the Saints have their bye week? Saints schedule. The Saints currently, where's ESPN? They currently have a week 14 bye week. You're fine. No need to make any moves. You're fine. It's a good-looking team. Travis says, thank you. Trading because my wide receivers are Keenan Allen and Brandon Cooks at this moment in time, and we have Pickens and Dobbs currently starting. Yeah, I think if you can move Taylor, quite frankly, considering the desperation in which you are at, considering Keenan Allen could miss probably 1 to 2 more weeks here. Brandon Cooks may never play for the rest of the season again. And even if he does, he may not play, very well for the Texans. You're probably in a situation where, again, you need to go after the best possible wide receiver you can get. And at this point, it seems like it really could be Devontae Adams at that point. Yeah, probably is. Okay. All right. Before we continue, I want to thank you guys for joining us after the Thursday night football game. If you guys have not yet already, be sure to go ahead and click the like button down below. Certainly does help out the channel a bunch. Again, if you guys missed any of the content that I posted earlier this week, whether it is the reactions to the NFL trade deadline via TJ Hawkinson going to the Vikings and how that potentially affects the value of Amon-Ra St. Brown, affects the value of Kirk Cousins going forward, potentially Claypool going from the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was the biggest surprise of the day, to the Chicago Bears, how that affects Pat Freiermuth and his overall value rest of season, and how he's obviously going to get a big boost. If you haven't checked that out, do so. Also, we have quarterback rankings video and a tight end ranking video all in one, posted earlier today. So if you want to check that out, go for it. Ibrahim said, I saw your quarterback rankings video, Andrew. Why do you have Fields over Murray? This is a must-win week for me. What do you mean, why do I have Fields over Murray? Did the video not explain it? Fields in the last 4 weeks has been exceptional. Murray, on the other hand, struggles mightily at home and struggles mightily against that Seattle secondary. And those things, when they're all combined, do not bode well for a quarterback that has the ability to run the ball but chooses not to. If we could get innate value from rushing statistics like we saw from Kyler in seasons past, I'd be more comfortable about it. But I think there's enough of a gap between the rankings that I have. I have Fields at 6 this week and Kyler, at like 9, 10? There's a significant enough of a separation between the two, mainly because if Justin Fields continues to run for 60 yards and a touchdown every single week, that's 12 fantasy points. I mean, and in last week against the Cowboys was 7 for 23 passing. Whew. They just added Chase Claypool. They're on a little bit of a heater right now, and I think they finally clicked into what exactly this offense needs to look like rest of the year. And I'm all in. I'm bought in on it. Who to play? 1 wide receiver, 1 flexible PPR. Lazard, Davis, Pittman, Foreman, Deion Jackson. I'd play Foreman at the flex, and I'd play Pittman at the wide receiver position. Who's Davis? That's the only question that I have in my mind. Who the heck is Davis? Am I crazy? Let me check my rankings. Control F, Davis. Oh, Gabriel Davis. Yeah, no, I'm still playing the names that I mentioned. I'm about to say, I was like, dude, the only name I can think of is Corey Davis. Let's see here. 4 and 4, we have Lamar, Swift, Fournette, Jefferson, Hollywood, Andrews, Gabe, Hunt, Travis Etienne, Connor, Devonta Smith. Wow. What? You're stacked. Why would you make any moves, Kaiser? Dude, hold up. I'm sorry. I don't understand this. You have Swift, Lamar, Etienne, Hunt, Connor, and Walker. Dude, what? Okay. I guess you can maybe take 2 of these running backs and go get a better running back. Like, hey, I'm going to take Swift and I'm going to take Walker. Somebody give me Eckler, or somebody give me Kamara. Somebody give me Chubb. Like you can do something like that and make an immediate impact. Go get Fournette, take Walker. Somebody give me Kamara, right? You could do one of those because you're ridiculously stacked at that position. At wide receiver, you're fine too because you're going to run Jefferson and Olave until Hollywood comes back. And dude, Kaiser, you're stacked, my guy. Sell JT in Dynasty? No. Take it easy. Now that's overreacting. Okay, that's overreacting. Not in a Dynasty, no. Now, if you had told me, hey, let's say, for example, hypothetically, if Jonathan Taylor had blew out his Achilles on both ankles or on both feet, and he also tore both ACLs at the same time, I'd say, yeah, you know what? Let's sell him because he's probably not coming back from that. But this isn't one of those situations. He's literally just dealing with a strain. Like it's going to recover, and the ankle will eventually get back to being itself. Now, whether that's this year or next year, that's a completely different conversation. But for right now, in a dynasty, you want to keep him. Thank you, Stu. Appreciate that. Why are you so low on Rondale Moore? Yahoo has him projected as a higher wide receiver, higher than all my wide receivers in a PPR. Mainly, Nick, because the current capacity which Rondale Moore scores is purely off receptions. My biggest issue with Rondale Moore is that his average depth of target in the routes that he runs, they quite frankly aren't great. So a lot of his overall production in a given week is based on the ability for a defense to tackle. And quite frankly, Seattle does it pretty well. So if you're going to be in a situation where Rondale Moore catches the ball 5-6 times and his average depth of target is 4 to 5 yards, he's going to have to get himself 50 plus yards after the catch. Now, luckily last week he was able to do exactly that. Had himself a reception, and 3 guys pretty much missed tackles right next to each other, back to back to back. And then he runs in for a 40-yard touchdown, right? And that's his entire week of play. Those kind of numbers, especially with the way that they're utilizing him within this offense, often lends me believing that it's probably going to be one of those games where he catches the ball 6 times for 40 yards. He's a 10-point play at a base minimum. If he scores a touchdown, he has a big play like that. Sure, he has the upside, but in comparison to other prospects, they have a far higher floor than he does in comparison, especially in a full PPR. Should I trade or hold Devonta Smith? I don't know if you'll be able to trade him at this point. I'm honestly just probably keeping him and just rolling with the punches. Jesus Jimenez says Amari Cooper, Najee Harris, and David Montgomery for Taylor. I got Taylor. Is that good? I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, Jesus. If in fact you've got a stacked roster and you can afford to make this deal, by all means, that's fine, because I don't mind moving Najee Harris and Montgomery. It's just a matter of the Amari Cooper, that part of the deal, and whether you have wide receivers that are going to accommodate for the absence of said great wide receiver. Let's see here. Tyler Boyd or Palmer this week? I prefer Palmer. Like I was mentioning in my Wednesday video, guys, when I talked about Palmer, I specifically said if Keenan Allen is going to be out this week, he's a top 15 guy. I have him at 17 right now. So I lied in that capacity, but he's close, right? He's close. Let's see here. 3 and 5, 10-team PPR. Do I trade JT and Gabe Davis and got Chubb and Judy? Okay, nice. I like that. I have Burrow, Mixon, Jamal. Okay, that's a great. I have no problem with that in any sort of capacity. I have Chubb higher ranked than JT rest of the season and Judy for Davis. I mean, again, Davis is his innate volatility because of the way that they utilize him within the offense makes it a pretty fair trade across the board in my eyes there. Bobby Known says 12-team full PPR. Let's see here. Hurts, Saquon, Jacobs, Kupp, Higgins. I mean, you're stacked. Sutton, Lazard, Pat Freiermuth, 7-1 record. Should I make any moves and get ready for the playoffs? Should you make any moves? I think the immediate suggestion I would say, Bobby, is to go and check out my rest of season strength of schedule video. I have Cordero Patterson on it. It came out last Friday or Thursday, one of the 2 days. Go check it out. Fast forward to running back and wide receiver weeks 15 through 17 and go and see if any of those, because I don't honestly remember what was on that list. Go and see what the top tier guys are at those positions, what teams have the easier strength of schedule at those positions, and then start kind of preparing that way. Otherwise, Saquon, Jacobs, Kupp, Higgins, I'm not moving those guys. I'm not moving Hurts or Pat Freiermuth. Sutton and Lazard, that's a different conversation. But again, I think those guys can be complementary pieces that can be exchanged for other guys that have better schedules throughout that span of time. Daniel says, is it worth trading Cooper Kupp for D-Hop and ETN? I need an upgrade at the flex. Not desperate, though. Is it worth it? I honestly think it is. Mainly because I'm thinking, I don't know what your scoring format is. Let's say it's a half PPR, right? DeAndre Hopkins will probably be in this top 12 conversation the rest of the season because that's what kind of a talent he is. He'll probably be a little bit of a downgrade once Hollywood Brown comes back, but you never know. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just as good. Maybe he continues to get 10 plus targets. ETN's probably going to be a guy that's in the top 12 rest of the way, maybe even better. Obviously, when a couple people in this chat was saying he's top 3 rest of the season. You never know. But at this point, if we're not desperate for it, yeah, we don't have to make the move. And I'm not suggesting you should. I'm just saying that based on what you're getting in exchange for it, I'm perfectly fine with that trade. Judy and Cordero Patterson versus Myers and Najee Harris. I'd rather have Judy and Cordero Patterson. Jonathan, thank you. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Let's see what you had here. Jonathan, thank you very much for the generous donation. It says the last minute sub for Foreman. Wait, what does it say? The last minute sub of Foreman for McLaurin last week was huge, Andrew. My team dropped 213 points in a standard PPR format. New Dynasty League record. 213 points is ridiculous, especially if you're not playing in a super flex format. That is crazy. But congratulations. That's awesome. It's a great bounce back week after some tough starts. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Glad I can help. Hopefully we can just keep the momentum going, my man. Fantasy football dog pound says best beard in the game. I appreciate that. Obviously, I don't really know who's in the game. Like, who are we talking about? That's my question. Who am I being compared to? Who else is in the game? No, but I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Keenan or Josh Palmer rest of the season? Matthew, this is a great question. If Keenan Allen is healthy, it's him by a long shot. If he's only going to miss one more week, and then I can guarantee that Keenan Allen's going to be the guy on my team healthy for the rest of the season, it's significantly higher in the direction of Keenan Allen in my mind. Yeah, for sure. Kenneth Walker and Hunt for St. Brown. Do you need that, Kaiser? I mean, I don't think you need it, but I don't mind it. I mean, again, I saw your team. You can get away with trades like that, and it won't hurt your team in the long run. I mean, it's crazy. If you're in the wait, what does it say? If your playoffs start in week 14, is it crazy? Wait, sorry. It's scary have teams on bye. Yeah, you should not play in week 14. No. Okay, Mike, tell your commissioner immediately that without a doubt that your playoffs need to be from weeks 15 through 17. Without a doubt. Whether it is 6 teams making the playoffs or whether it's 8 teams making the playoffs. 8 teams, obviously, in a 12-team league, provided so where there's no bye weeks added to anybody. You don't get a bye week for being first or second place. But in a six advancing team league where 12 teams, 6 advance, first and second place get a bye. So second place, 6th, third place, third place, 6th, and fourth place, 5th. And then they advance to the second round, week 16, and then the championship, week 17. You need to change that. Because if, in fact, you're going to play in a league where you have a week 14 bye, you trade away all those players right now. What was it? The Saints have a bye week in 14? Like, I don't want Kamara then. Kamara's going to lose me the season because I'm going to lose the first round of the playoffs. Kenneth Walker and Gabriel Davis for Higgins and JT. Or Kenneth Walker and St. Brown. I'd rather send away Kenneth Walker and Gabriel Davis. I'd rather keep St. Brown. And I'm fine with that trade, by the way, Kaiser, because you're stacked at that position. Trey says, full PPR, DeMarcus Robinson versus New Orleans or Drake London versus the Chargers. I got Drake London higher right now. It's a little bit risky. I know it, but I got to hope that Mariota has figured it out a little bit here. Levi Solo says, who has more value rest of the season, Rachaad White or Alexander Madison? In a full PPR, I would always venture to say that it's probably the guy that's beginning to... Oh, man, you know what? I think it really is going to be... Trey, I think it's really... No, it's not Trey's question. Sorry. What am I looking at? It's Levi. Sorry. I think it's going to be Rachaad White, quite frankly. Because if, in fact, there isn't the purpose of an injury to force handcuff value, I think, like I was mentioning or kind of referring to earlier, Leonard Fournette could very easily lose his job to Rachaad White, which makes me think that Rachaad White is a more valuable prospect the rest of the way here. Okay, so we've been here for what? Since 8:13ish. I'm gonna probably be here for another like 10-15 minutes. Try to answer your guys' questions the best of my ability as quickly as I can. So be patient. Again, we'll probably be live streaming once again here Saturday afternoon, 1 to 3 p.m. and then also Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, like we do every Sunday morning with up-to-date rankings on screen. So if you'd like, you can join us then. John Aguilar says, trade Hines for Mooney in a full PPR stack with Fields. I don't really care about Mooney being a stackable option. And quite frankly, I don't really think Hines provides much value unless Devin Singletary is going to miss time. So if you want Mooney, go for it. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me at all. Trade Hopkins and Chubb for Kupp and Connor? No. Keep Chubb and Hopkins. What's up, Andrew? In a 14-team league, I have Carr, Jacobs, Singletary, Kirk, Chase, Olave, Palmer, and Kelsey. With Sutton and Gus Likely. Okay. 14-team league. Okay, so Carr is okay. I mean, that's a problem in itself. I think Carr needs to be replaced in a 14-team league, but it's tough to do. I understand. Jacob Singletary. Okay, well, we probably need to improve upon Singletary now that his receiving work is going to be diminished. Chase Olave's fine. Palmer's fine until Chase comes back. Kelsey's good to go, coming off the bye week. Sutton and then Gus. We have Ron Rivers. Yeah, I mean, Singletary is probably the piece that needs to be upgraded. And I would suggest you do it now before Nyheim Hines starts to really start taking value away from him. If you're going to move another piece as well, I mean, technically you can move Chase at this point, but you don't have to. Move Chase, move Singletary, get a wide receiver and a running back in exchange. Like, stuff like that is up for grabs there, Joshua. It's just a matter of what your record is and how desperate you are to potentially make said moves. Let's see here. Andrew, thoughts on the Rams running back situation? Mario, you know what? I'm going to be totally honest. I don't want to touch any of those running backs. I am probably in a situation where I'm thinking, regardless of who the starter is, there's more likely a chance of them being duds on a weekly basis rather than studs because the offensive line is just not healthy. And besides not even just being healthy, they're not talented enough to make the holes required to be relevant and get these guys the yardage and the touchdowns that they need. And that in itself kind of leans me away from these guys. Start Foreman or Drake London? Yeah, it's Foreman for sure, without a doubt in my mind. Nate says, you missed me, bro? Hey, bro, if you had typed here, I would have seen it. Hey, Andrew, full PPR. I'll get to your question in a second, Natty. Or Natty. Full PPR, I have Lockett and I have Hill out. Okay, cool. That's unfortunate, but, the bipocalypse will continue on. I need someone to run with DJ. Should I trade Freiermuth for Judy? I also have Eno, Montgomery, Mooney, Rondell Moore, Dobbs. I mean, okay, considering you have Goddard, my biggest concern is when is, in fact, Goddard going on bye. Because I'd like to keep Fryer because I think he's going to start frying defenses. And when he does, you might want to go ahead and trade him then after. Let's see what the schedule looks like for the Philadelphia Eagles. So wait, what the heck is going on here? Oh, wait, hold up. They're already past the bye? When did they have a bye week? Am I crazy? When did they have a bye week? What? Yo, look, this is how you know we've been too far into the stream. Okay, at this point, wow. I don't even remember the Eagles going on bye. Oh, they went on bye with the Bills, the Vikings, and the Rams. Dude, it's been so long. It's literally been 2 weeks and my brain is already fried off that. I don't even remember it happening. That's how you know this is a long season already. I don't mind the trade. Bring in Judy. Snags 412 says Foreman or JT or Josh Palmer. Snags, is that for this week? If we're just talking about this week, I'd probably go Foreman. And then if we're talking about rest of the season, yeah, I'd rather have JT. Is JT out for sure out? No, he's not. He's not for sure out. Not 100%. But we're leaning in that direction because he hasn't practiced this week. Okay. 12-team full PPR. Gino Mariota. Okay, good to go there. Kamara, Mixon, AJ Brown, Evans. Okay, good. Pitts. All right, with Dulcich. Awesome. 2 flex options. We have Walker and Pierce. Wow. My bench is mostly trash. That's fine. Try to get a big quarterback. No one seems to be interested. To be honest, I mean, I'm looking at your team, and considering what you have at running back, tight end, and wide receiver, and flex, I legitimately think you can win a championship with these 2 quarterbacks going the rest of the way. So I'm not even mad at it. I think you're fine. If you were going to make a play at a quarterback, you would have to give away one of your really strong pieces, which quite frankly, I don't think you need to. I think Geno Smith and Mariota, if you play them in the right frequency and or sequence rest of the way, picking one over the other in a given week and doing that accurately, you'll be fine. Let's see here. Okay, Terry sent in a question. Terry, what's up, man? Thank you very much. Says in a half PPR. Actually, let me just scroll here. Half PPR. Allen, Cook, Jones, Pittman, Kirk, Metcalf, Knox, Maher. Okay, so Maher needs to be replaced because he's on bye week, right? So let's see. And then we have Superflex Tua. We have Hunt, Madison. Okay. Should I pick up Taysom Hill? For Knox? I mean, at this point, I would probably lean towards yes. Mainly because Taysom Hill, each of the last 2 weeks, has put up 7 to 9 fantasy points without even scoring touchdowns. And you will very seldom find tight ends that can do that without scoring touchdowns. And the capacity which he has to score said touchdowns because of the way this entire offense kind of functions leads me to believe that Taysom Hill is most likely a better play rest of the season. So I'm good with that. But again, yes, you need to replace Maher because they're on bye. And so is San Francisco. You're going to have to make some moves here, my man. Drop these guys, Terry, for this week. Hopkins for CeeDee Lamb. I'm okay with that. Should I pick up Kenyon Drake? Yeah, because I don't think Gus Edwards is going to play, to be honest. Snags said yes this week. Yeah, then I'd play Foreman, then Palmer, then JT, because I don't think JT's playing. Someone dropped Waller. Wait, someone dropped Waller. Drop Wan'Dale Robinson for him or Huntley? Is this Caleb Huntley? Like, as in this is the Atlanta running back? Drop the Atlanta running back. 100%. Andrew, should I start Conklin over Allen Robinson? Down bad due to the bye week. I probably wouldn't play Tyler Conklin. Then again, somebody asked me on Sunday of last week, should I play Tyler Conklin? And I said no, and he went for 20 points. So what do I know? At this point, I think it's just really risky considering the matchup against Buffalo. But, you know, maybe they've turned a page. Maybe Zach Wilson throwing the ball 40 times for 22 passing completions, you know, at 50% pass completion percentage. Maybe it's enough to get Tyler Conklin the value he needs. But for right now, I'd probably just lean in the direction of Allen Robinson. If JT doesn't play, Mostert or Deion Jackson, I'd go with Mostert. Should I start Garrett Wilson or Kenyon Drake if Gus the Bus doesn't play this week? I'd probably lean towards going Kenyon Drake. I think Tre'Davious White is back, if I'm not mistaken, so Garrett Wilson could be in a little bit of trouble there. Greetings, salutations, Andrew. Due to the bye weeks and the injuries, who should I play in the flex in the full PPR scoring for my Terrace Marshall, Chuba Hubbard, or Allen Robinson? It's tough. Yeah, it is. It is really tough out here. I think it's Allen Robinson or Terrace Marshall. If I had to trust one over the other, it's probably just rolling with Allen Robinson this week. Bateman is out. Yeah, out for the season, so he can be dropped. Who do you pick up for the rest of the season for tight end? Wait, who to pick up rest of season for tight end? Who do you have available, Andrew? Let's see here. Lizzie says, Andrew, in a 12-team league full PPR, we have Jalen Hurts and who's A. Brown? AJ Brown? AJ Brown, okay. Chris Olave, Barkley, Swift, Gerald Everett. I saw A. Brown. And I was like, Antonio Brown. Why do you have Antonio Brown rostered? Chris Olave, Barkley, Swift, Gerald Everett, Ramondre Stevenson, James Robinson, Brian Robinson, Jeff Wilson, Dak Prescott, Greg Dulcich. What do you need help with? Because quite frankly, you have Barkley, Olave, Swift, Ramondre, and then I guess you need another. Oh no, you don't need another wide receiver, bro. You're kind of stacked. I think your best plan of action at this point is to take Dak Prescott and trade him because I guess Jalen Hurts has passed his bye week. Andrew have completely forgot. Trade Dak Prescott, move him with one of these. I mean, I don't think you can trade James Robinson or Brian Robinson at this point or Jeff Wilson. I think you're probably stuck with those guys. Maybe move Dak Prescott and Gerald Everett after this week for a tight end, maybe an upgrade. Somebody who's desperate need of a tight end in your league. PPR, should I trade Mixon and Claypool for Cooper and Schultz? Or trade Mixon for DJ and Olave? I don't know what you need at wide receiver, but if you're in desperate need of a wide receiver, I'm okay picking up the DJ and Olave side of that deal. But otherwise, I don't really like the idea of trading Claypool and Mixon for Cooper and Schultz. I think Schultz is going to be fantastic rest of the year. I don't trust it. Mike says, good name, Mike, good name. He says, Carr or Heineke? I have Heineke as the number 17 ranked quarterback on the week, just outside of my top 16. If you guys want to check out my top 16 quarterback rankings for week 9, the video was posted earlier today. Go check that out. It has Kyle Pitts on the thumbnail, mainly because I cover both positions, top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. Thank you. Alrighty. Couple more minutes here, and then your boys got to go. Will Aaron Rodgers' thumb going to be a problem for them this week? I don't want to have to play Brady. Yeah, listen, I'm playing Aaron Rodgers very confidently. Earlier today in the quarterback video, I mentioned Aaron Rodgers in his career, in the last 11 consecutive games against the Detroit Lions, he has scored 2 or more touchdowns. I think he'll be fine this week. Don't worry about him. Mark Andrews or in... Wait, what? Okay. Andrew, let me go back up here. Who to pick up? Wait, I don't understand here. Bateman is out. Who to pick up rest of season for tight end? And then I asked you, well, okay, who do you have available? Mark Andrews and Dulcich. What? I don't get it. I mean, I guess both of them. All right. Well, I'd rather have Mark Andrews rest of the season. I don't think that's I'm confused. I'm so confused. Foreman in the flex or pick up Deion Jackson. I think I would still pick up Deion Jackson. Worried about Chuba Hubbard. Let me check something. Let me check out what exactly the practice report is in regards to Chuba Hubbard, and then we can expand upon that conversation. All right, so according to ESPN's David Newton, he said he believes that Chuba Hubbard's ankle is still in the rehab stage, quote unquote. Limited participation at practice both Thursday and Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, look, here's the thing. If he's limited to any sort of capacity and you already have a full healthy Foreman, they're not going to force him back and try to make him play on an injury. So I'm not too worried about it this week. Start Higgins or Jamal in a full PPR. If Swift was 100% out, like he wasn't playing this week, I would say Jamal. But considering he's probably going to play in a full PPR, I'm beginning to think that Higgins is probably the better play overall. Should I trade Najee Harris for Miles Sanders? Yes. I mean, that should have been done weeks ago, but I think it may be a little too late after what Miles Sanders put up tonight. Let's see here. I meant to say who to pick up at wide receiver because I have Andrews not. Aha, okay. Again, then the question is, who do you have at wide receiver, my man? I mean, listen. Okay, due to the fact that Rashad Bateman is out for the rest of the season, or has, he's going to have surgery and going to the IR, Devin Duvernay is the guy within that team. That's where I want to go with. Should I keep Prescott or Burrow for the rest of the year? I'd rather have Burrow. That's kind of the feeling that I have rest of the season. I know Prescott has probably a little bit more rushing upside down on the goal line, but ultimately I think Burrow's probably in a better position to be in more shootouts, which will cause him to score more points. Is Dontrell Hilliard a must-add if Henry's foot is a problem? Yes, I do believe so, but here's the thing. If Dontrell Hilliard is out, that entire offense is in shambles this week, and I would legitimately play the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Like that would be my number one waiver wire pickup prior to Sunday. You know what I mean? I have Evans, Cup, a wide receiver. I need a flex. Palmer or Boyd. I have Palmer higher this week. I have Josh Reynolds and Terrace Marshall and Kadarius Toney. Out of this group of wide receivers, I mean, I really don't like any of them. I'd probably say that it's probably Terrace Marshall, but it's tough to even go down that route at this point. Kirk or Dobbs in the flex. I'd probably go with Christian Kirk this week. Jacobs and Kittle for Henry and Diggs. Yeah, I'll take Henry and Diggs. Thank you. I may have missed. Yeah, Snags. Your follow-ups. Let's see here. 8-team league. Lamar, JT, Saquon, Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, ETN, Ramondre, Connor, Goddard, Mike Evans. Wow. Who do I drop? Okay, what the heck is this all-star team, Snags? Who do I drop? I got people on the IR. Okay, so if you're dropping one of these players or multiple of these players, you have Lamar. Okay, so you have Lamar, JT, Saquon, Najee, CeeDee Lamb, you have Travis Etienne, Keenan Allen, Ramondre, Connor, Goddard, Evans. Okay, so if I'm dropping players, legitimately, I'm not even joking, I would drop James Conner out of this list, and I would also follow up by dropping Najee Harris. Done. Those are the two. Because rest of the season, I prefer JT, Saquon, ETN. Give me that. I'm fine with that. So, because I'm not looking to drop, Justin Jefferson, Debo Samuel, Mike Evans. I'm not doing that. Or Keenan Allen. I guess you can drop Keenan Allen, but I honestly think in a full PPR scoring format, he probably has more value than, James Conner, Najee Harris rest of the way, if healthy. Which is a tough deal, but that's what you get for playing in an 8-team league. I'd honestly just try to trade them, but you might not be able to. Okay. We're going to go ahead and bring this down here. Let's go ahead, catch up here. We're good to go. All right. So, do appreciate you guys stopping by today. We were here for about almost 2 hours. I do appreciate you guys coming out, clicking the like button, supporting the channel with your viewership, and of course, watching and supporting every single day that you guys do. Be a friend, tell a friend. I know it's tough to share fantasy advice with friends, but hey, maybe tell one person, tell 2 people, tell a couple of your buddies. That might help. That'd be greatly appreciated from me. Either way, that's all I ask of you guys. Click the like button, continue to watch, continue to enjoy, and continue to hopefully win your fantasy football leagues. If we're not leading in that direction, well then, I apologize. But I wish I could predict the future. I really do. I wish I had the crystal ball. That'd be fantastic. I'm going to answer a couple more questions here, and then I'm going to go ahead and cue the music, and we're going to be out today. Tomorrow, we'll be back with content. Maybe hidden gems. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. Still haven't decided, but I do appreciate you guys. All right, couple more questions here. So here's a question: full PPR, should I start AJ Brown or Damian Pierce and Dallas Goedert? Or wait, what? Why are you asking a start question that requires all the people who played today? I don't understand this. That's funny. Should I trade Jalen Hurts for Miles Sanders in a 10-team PPR? I have Dak. My bench is da. Okay, my running backs are, yeah, I don't mind that. I'm fine with that. My main running back is Aaron Jones and Dalvin Cook. I have to drop one for Deion Jackson, Herbert, Madison, or Jamal. I would not. You know what? I'd probably drop Madison for Deion Jackson, but that's the only one that I would drop for him. Someone drop CEH. Rico, yeah, you should pick him up. Aaron says, hey, Andrew, could you take a look at my team? Seeking your wisdom. Type it in the chat before I leave. My main running back is Aaron. Okay, I have to drop one. Yeah, you have to drop Madison if you're going to make a move on Deion Jackson. Miles says, Godwin for Terry and Gabe. Currently have Chase, Hollywood, Keenan Allen, Olave, and Palmer. I don't think you need to make this trade, quite frankly. I think in the long run, Godwin probably serves you at best here, Miles. Should I trade Najee Harris and Jalen Warren and Lazard for Godwin, CEH, and Duvernay? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm fine with that, G-Money. Somebody in a 12-team league dropped Michael Carter. Is he a priority add? My other running backs are Drake, Dylan, and Eno. Yes, I would drop Eno Benjamin for him right now in a heartbeat. Somebody in my... Okay, we did that. Troy, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hive, I don't see your question. Maybe it's in the chat somewhere here. Where are we at? Ruben says, hey, man, so I'm 7-1. I don't know what the context of that is, Ruben. I don't even remember. Let's see here. If you use Kirk and Singletary, what RB do I try for? If I use Kirk and Singletary, which one RB? If you're going to go after a running back right now, and you're going to trade away those prospects in specific, I would probably look to try to get Khalil Herbert or someone of that capacity. Yeah, I think I'd feel comfortable going after Khalil Herbert right now because I think he probably dethrones Montgomery to an extent going forward. My main running back is Aaron. Okay, we already did that one. Good to go. Mo Money says, Andrew, should I play Evan Ingram or Isaiah Likely this week? If Mark Andrews is out, I'm going Isaiah Likely. Again, guys, I did post a quarterback and tight end rankings video earlier today. Check that out. Thank you very much. Aaron says, I sent it up a few times. Okay, cool. Aaron, let me check this out. Aaron says, hey, man, PPR. I have Okay, we have Jalen Hurts, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Debo Myers, Kelsey, A-Rob Patterson, Tony Gibson, Michael Williams, Curtis Samuel, Gus Edwards, and Hunt. I'm 4-4. I feel really light at wide receiver. I mean, you're only light at wide receiver because of your injury to Michael Williams. So if you want, you can theoretically trade Michael Williams and try to make a play here. I honestly think you could get away with trading Gibson and Michael Williams and getting back some actual legitimate value. Going after guys like, you know what? I think it might be a good time to go after Chris Godwin at this point. I mean, obviously, you guys hear me say Amon-Ra St. Brown 1,000 times. So if you haven't knocked on that door yet, you probably should go there. Outside of those guys, the thin nature of your wide receiver core isn't even that bad. Like, I'd also even be willing to potentially pivot and start looking in the direction of, do I even want, no. No, those are guys that I'd probably prioritize. I don't want to go for anything less than them. Alrighty. Snags, I'm assuming he was joking. What's your outlook on Jonathan Taylor? Is Deion Jackson a keeper on the bench? Yes, I would keep him. Keep him on the bench. Jonathan Taylor hopefully gets healthy soon. If he doesn't, then of course Deion Jackson plays. Let's see LMAO, I didn't think that was really you. Had to go on TikTok to check if your YouTube was the same. Yeah, it was me. I just wanted to post a couple just to see what kind of, traction I would gain there. Again, it is pretty difficult for me to juggle all those different, I guess, media sources, considering there's only one of me doing everything all day long in terms of recording, editing, graphics, all this kind of jazz. So it is really difficult to try to bounce all of that up and keep a TikTok rolling at a pretty consistent pace. So I just wanted to go out, try a couple TikToks. We got some pretty good viewage there, but overall, we should be fine. Messing with you, Andrew, just asking. Yeah, no problem. You're fine. I thought you were joking anyway in the beginning because I was like, okay, why would you ask about players that already played? So I didn't think anything of it. You're fine. Okay. Hive, where are you at, my man? Just when I want to leave, y'all come in with donations, huh? Just to make it so where I can't leave. Why is my F3 function on my keyboard not working? That's my only question. There it is. Hive, let's see here. Hive says, Benjamin or Deion Jackson? Deion Jackson at the flex. That's my suggestion, 1,000%. Again, that's under the assumption that JT doesn't play this week, though. Stinky says, would you trade Chubb for ETN? Probably not. I think I'm comfortable with Chubb rest of the season. I don't care that Hunt is still there in the backfield. Sean says, trade Pittman for Lamb and MVS? Yes. Give me Lamb and MVS rest of the season. Quite frankly, I'll trade Pittman for Lamb straight up. I don't even care. I don't need MVS. Just give me Lamb. Jack's Motivational Hub, thank you very much for the generous donation. I appreciate that. Says, I'm 2-6 right now. We need to get some more wins here. We have Herbert. We have Mostert. We have Deion Jackson, Chris Godwin, Duvernay, Gerald Everett, Zay Jones. Bench is, what does that say? Debo Samuel, Cordero Patterson, Drake London, Jonathan Taylor, Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz. How can I make my team better? Okay. At this point, you got to take Dak Prescott. You got to take Marquise Hollywood Brown. You got to take Jonathan Taylor. And probably take Debo Samuel. And go and trade for a whole different team there. Get a running back in return. Get a wide receiver in return. Go 2 for 4. Go find a team that needs a quarterback that can afford to potentially take Jonathan Taylor on board and just go sell all 4 of those pieces and get 2 guys that are studs in return. Because if you don't make a move like that now, we're in a little bit of trouble. Like I'm thinking I would be very comfortable trading away Taylor, Debo, Marquise Brown, and Dak Prescott if I'm getting myself legitimate 2 players that are in that. Like if I'm getting back, let's say, for example, let me think of some names here. If someone's going to give me back in return Dalvin Cook, and then also on top of it, they're going to give me DeAndre Hopkins, I'll take the deal. Because quite frankly, you need to win now. And with these bye weeks that you're dealing with, if you go to 2-7 and you're playing in a normal 12-team league, getting to the playoffs at that point would require you to legitimately win out and win 5 games in a row. So you need to ensure you get a win this week, and you need to ensure you got to do it in a pretty good capacity, whether it's a wide receiver or a running back. Hive says, Benjamin or Deion Jackson this week. Yep, we got that. Deion Jackson it is. Last question is just get it done. It says full PPR, Duvernay, Jackson, or Connor in the flex. I'm probably leaning in the direction of going with Connor if he's fully healthy. If he's not, at that point in a full PPR, I'll take Devin Duvernay. Hive Salon says, Robert Woods or Zay Jones this week. I play Zay Jones. All right, that's going to cover it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out here. For those of you who are with us for the entirety of that 2-hour span, thank you very much. For those of you who just joined us, I apologize again. Hopefully the questions I answered throughout the course of today's episode, via the live stream, can potentially be rewinded, listen to it. Maybe I answer your question via proxy. Other than that, you can comment down below and on any of the other videos. I try to go in there, answer as much as I possibly can in terms of the time constraints I have, or you can check out the Patreon. Before we leave, again, check out Prize Picks. Again, tonight, the number in terms of going more on his overall rushing yards was perfect for Miles Sanders. That was a suggestion I made earlier this week. But as for Devonta Smith, man, I really needed Devonta Smith to get more than 4 receptions. Didn't want to do it, but that's unfortunate. It is the nature of the business. But when you know you're taking on, a running back that's behind one of the best offensive lines in the league going against Houston, you're easily picking more. So again, if you guys haven't checked them out, there's a link down in the description. Sign up today using promo code Andrew because that supports the channel. And of course, continues to allow you to play more daily fantasy at your fingertips. When you use promo code Andrew today, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So check that out. When you sign up, definitely does support the channel with that first-time deposit. All right. That's going to cover it for me today. I do appreciate you guys sending it. Oh, goodness. Really, I'm about to leave and I'm getting more. Guys, enough. Let me be. All right. A couple more here. JD says, rate my team, please. We have Cousins. We have Jamar Chase. We have OBJ, Thielen, Rondell Moore, dead Keenan Allen, according to you. Jameson Williams, Taysom. We have Walker. We have Waller, excuse me. We have Dalvin. We have Saquon. We have ETN. We have James Cook. All right. So in terms of your 7-1 football team, Dalvin, Saquon, and ETN are obviously the cheat code that you have. A healthy Darren Waller will be fantastic, but you still have Taysom until then. Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, you'll be fine. As for right now, your wide receiver position is relatively thin, mainly because Jamar Chase is injured. But until you get, I mean, yeah, you're in a little bit of trouble until then. But luckily, you're 7-1, so you don't have to worry about that. I mean, again, the way you win this league is purely Saquon Etienne and Dalvin Cook. And if I had that on my team, I would have no doubt in my mind that I'm probably winning this league. But again, I don't know what the rest of your teams in your league look like, but I think you're going to be in a great position there. Rico says I have an earlier question. All right, Rico, let me see here. Rico Baptiste says, we have Joe, as in Joe Burrow, AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, St. Brown, Debo, Etienne, Pierce, Pacheco, Herbert, Kieran Williams, Pitts, Dulcich. Should I pick up CEH or Deion Jackson? I would feel relatively comfortable picking up either for Kieran Williams or Pacheco. I would, honestly, if it's me, I would have already picked up CEH for Pacheco, and I probably would have picked up Deion Jackson for Kieran Williams. Those are the swaps that I would make there, Rico. Thank you. Jack's Motivational Hub. Let's see here, Jack. Jack's, where are we at here? Have Christian McCaffrey. Let me see the context of this question real quick. So you also have Christian McCaffrey. Again, wait, what? Have Christian McCaffrey. So, I mean, look, I mean, at this point, I still want to go and get, I still want to go and try to execute that trade that I was kind of entailing. Sell Debo, sell JT, sell Marquise Hollywood Brown, sell Schultz, it doesn't matter. Dak Prescott, sell them all just to get back on track. You know what I mean? All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Saturday, I'll be live streaming in the afternoon, 1 to 3 p.m. Sunday morning live stream will be ready to go. So if you guys are interested, join me from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday morning. I'll have up-to-date rankings on screen for all primary positions, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end. I appreciate you guys coming by. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace. Let's go ahead and cue the music. And we will see you next time. You know, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but we'll figure it out.